Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today we are here to discuss and rank every character from Game of Thrones Season 3. And of course, I am joined by my co host for the series, Tyler Calvert. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, we're on season 3. We're about to do season 4, so we're at the almost basically midway point of the series. So
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
figure, I figure, season 3 kind of traumatized me towards the end, but I still liked a lot of the characters involved. A lot of characters. I feel like is that going to be a? I mean, I guess don't tell me, or at least maybe don't completely tell me. But it seems like as the seasons go on, the amount of characters go up as well.
It definitely fluctuates. We did get 9 deaths on the 62 characters that we're ranking today.
Yeah, it was and like almost. I mean, a large portion of them were in the ninth episode, I believe, right?
Yeah. So, hi, Leo, Geekly Goods. Hello, Network 98 Live. Thank you all for hopping into the chat today. And just a quick little caveat last time we did it live, there was just a little bit of leeway because in actuality, Tyler and I had already watched all the way up through episode 9 of season 3 when we did
Yeah.
our season 2 ranking. We literally are going to be recording our reaction to episode 1 of season 4 after this. So no, we haven't watched anything in season 4 yet. So no spoilers for anything season 4 and beyond,
No,
please.
I had to take a long break from the show after it crushed my soul with the Reigns of Castamere.
Yeah, we binged for a while and then we took a break after that episode with Sean Chandler in episode 9. Hi,
Yeah, yeah,
Ryan. Thanks for coming back.
yeah, yeah. Your laptop had problems, and we just have the
Yeah.
mysterious reaction just lingering somewhere that needs to be
Yeah.
released one day.
So we have a review for episode 9, which is doing pretty well, actually. So I'm glad. I
Yeah,
thought it was going to bomb because it was a review.
yeah. You just made all the anti-Daenerys people angry.
Yeah. All right. So we do have 62 characters
Ugh,
in this.
so many.
By far the most we've had so far in the show. So let's go ahead and get through them. See which one of these we can just kind of skim over as we get to them.
Yeah, some of them probably.
But we're starting off with a character who has literally held this spot for 3 straight seasons. He has not given it up. Coming in dead last on our rankings once again at number 62, we have Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah.
Tyler, how come he can't get out of that last place?
I feel like you just watch the show. It's kind the proof is in the episodes. It'd be one thing if he's like had any sort of like redemptive moments. There's never been any moment where he's like at least tried to be a better person. Seems like he's just made a goal to be progressively worse as the seasons progress. And it's Joffrey Baratheon. I don't feel like I feel like most people would not argue with me that he is one of the worst characters in Game of Thrones. As far as like
that random woman on Twitter who
yeah, you sent me that. Yeah, that was a shock.
The one character she likes that everybody else hates, and she said Joffrey Baratheon.
I don't know.
King
more power
Joffrey.
to you. I don't know.
Yeah, so this season there were some stretches where we actually didn't get much of Joffrey, but he made the screen time worth it. He killed Roz. This is his first like straight up murder.
Yeah.
Like every other time he instructs people, this time he just straight up killed her himself and shot her with those arrows. We do see him torturing Sansa and Tyrion at their wedding. We see him wanting to serve Robb Stark's head to Sansa at her wedding.
Totally nice person right there.
Yeah, the only good things, and probably why Tywin is as high as he is on this ranking, is getting to see Tywin Lannister particularly just own Joffrey every time they're in the same room.
Always a bonus in my eyes. If you're a character that decides to just flame Joffrey, I'll like you at least a little bit.
Yeah, Joffrey's terrible. He's still last. So coming in at number 61, just above Joffrey, he was 61 on both of our lists. We have Walder Frey. So, Tyler, I can't imagine why you put Walder Frey at number 61.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we were in agreement there. You said we both had him at 61. Terrible, gross old man. breaking traditions, having everyone get murdered at a wedding. And he's just also, and he has no remorse. He just doesn't mind his wives being murdered. He'll just find another one. Just a downright old, despicable man.
I mean, he's just nasty. So
Yeah.
even if he wasn't part of the Red Wedding and one of the main key points to it, he's just gross. And he would be pretty low on my list anyway. Like the way he was talking about Talisa at the beginning of that episode was nasty.
Yeah.
Like you said, he sacrificed his wife for nothing.
Yeah, he just said, I'll find another one. Like, no big deal.
And just his demeanor, is in the Red Wedding is so terrible. And his demeanor in that final episode, now Lord of River Run, is like, yeah. Walder Frey is just terrible. Every time he's on screen, he's got to
go. He's got to go. Sooner rather than later.
Well, coming in at number 60, we both had him at the same place as well. The other treachery when it came to the Red Wedding, we have Ruth Bolton. Why do you have Ruth down at number 60, Tyler?
I knew this was coming. I know we had mentioned it a little bit in our last ranking for season 2, how he was actually much higher up, and I was like, well, we had watched the Reigns of Castamere episode since then. I was like, that's going to be a lot different in this upcoming season as far as the rankings go. He had to be a treacherous traitor and deliver the final killing blow to Robb Stark. I mean, no, not a good look.
That iconic line of the Lannisters send their regards. And he's even a little bit worse. I don't know. I flip-flop with him and Walder because I think Walder's a gross, just nastier person. But Ruth straight up betrayed Robb. Whereas Walder, he kind of did, and he did break that oath of bringing people into his house and then killing them. But we knew he was sketchy. Robb did at least do something to Walder Frey to make him angry. He did nothing to Ruth Bolton. Ruth Bolton and the Bolton house just flipped on Robb because the Lannisters gave him a better deal.
Terrible.
He was also kind of mean to Brienne. He kind of gave Brienne to his little people to fight a bear for their amusement.
Yeah. I mean, that part was awesome, though.
So, Ruth, yuck. Just yuck. But we're rolling. At number 59, we both agree. Yet again,
This is a good trend we're on here.
We both have Craster at number 59, our first dead character of
Thankfully.
the ranking. So, yay, Craster came to an end to this season.
One positive to Craster, I suppose, is that he's dead.
Yeah, so any thoughts on Craster, though we didn't see him all that much this season?
Well, I mean, he was just so despicable in the past season that he was obviously going to be very low. And, thankfully he died, so we don't have to see him ever again, hopefully. You never know, I guess, in the Game of Thrones world. I've seen a lot of magic and weird stuff going on in the last season and a half, so you never really know. But I hope to never see him again. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him go. I'm glad that I guess everyone's free and Gilly and Samwell get to go run off with little Sam.
You are a bastard, a wildling daughter fucking bastard.
Exactly. Amazing.
What I have to say, I didn't love what followed and how those people behaved, but that moment was pretty great in getting to kill him all.
Yeah, it was a very satisfying death, I feel.
Ryan says every time he sees Joffrey's face, he looks like Draco Malfoy, and I hate both of them. So.
I could see similarities in their characters. Maybe if Harry Potter was like R-rated or NC-17, Draco could have done some crazy like Joffrey level badassery in the Harry Potter world.
All right. Well, coming in at number 58, we have another character who got the axe this season. We're already down to two deaths.
All right.
Clearly, we don't like these people, so them dying, we're good with it. At number 58, we have the slave master Chrysnes. So he makes a great first impression, calling Jorah and Daenerys names immediately. He chops off one of his slaves' nipples in the Unsullied just to prove a point. We hear about how they break the Unsullied. He has them go and kill a random baby in the city, and they don't pay the mother. They pay the slave owner. But thankfully, he got his just due and gave us our second epic Dracarys moment.
Yeah, he got roasted, literally.
When Daenerys lit his ass up after she exposed she had known everything he had been saying the whole time. But yeah, how'd you feel about Krasny's for the first half of this season?
I mean, he seemed like a very slimy character. I mean, and the whole cutting off the guy's nipple thing was, what an impression to make on, for a character, just like straight up here. Look at how loyal these Unsullied are. I can just cut off his nipple and I'll just be fine. But it was very satisfying to see Daenerys understand what they were saying the whole time and then just roasting him in front of everybody and taking over the Unsullied anyway.
Leo, do you remember now? Do you remember getting roasted by Dany?
The bald man.
The bald slave master that she kills at the first slave city, Astapor, she comes across. But thankfully he's dead and gone. So yay. And he gave one of the most epic moments of the season. So
I would say so, yeah.
That puts him above these other terrible folks. But moving right along, we have number 57, and this is someone who got their name revealed just in that very last episode.
Yeah,
though
right.
He made quite the impression as we move throughout the season, and that is Ramsay Snow, the bastard son of Ruth Bolton. So bastardry just literally runs in the family, I suppose.
Yeah, not a great family, it seems like.
But why'd you have Ramsay so low, Tyler?
I mean, he seems like a very slimy, terrible character. I feel like the majority of the season, it was him just torturing Theon. There was not really other things to his character. His whole character was kind of just there to just beat Theon into submission to the point where now he has a new name, cuts his penis off, starts cutting off other pieces of him, sends his penis to his parents. I mean, come on, man. That's pretty messed up, I feel. All of that. Ramsay Snow, Ramsay Bolton, whichever, I guess you want to call him. I guess because you could call him either one. Not a fan so far, anyway.
I mean, he did give you one of your laughs of episode 10, though, so I got to give him that, I guess.
When he was shaking the sausage. I was like, what the heck was that?
Asking the deep philosophical questions if eunuchs get phantom itches.
Phantom limbs.
So Ramsay still has Theon. Last we saw him in his possession. All right, moving along to number 56, and a character that I initially was like, what did he really do this season? And then as I was kind of revisiting, I remembered the episode The Climb, and that pretty much summed up just how terrible Littlefinger continues to be. Because for a moment, I was like, well, do I really want to rank him that low? Did he do? Oh, no, he did. He did. He orchestrated all of the buffoonery and...
Yeah, earlier on in the season.
Yeah, no, he did. He's the one who ruined the Tyrell's plan to let Sansa go to Highgarden. He's the one who literally got Roz killed and sent her to Joffrey.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, and he's just terrible. He's like creeping on Sansa for the first half of the season. It just is gross. So you haven't warmed up to Littlefinger, Tyler?
No, I don't. I don't think I ever am. But I've always been. I guess you could call myself a Littlefinger hater. I've always been more wary of him than Varys because I know that was kind of like the game. Like, are you, which one do you like more between Varys and Littlefinger? It's like, well, I guess Varys just because Littlefinger's so terrible.
Yeah. So again, he didn't have a ton of screen time this season, but he was a big player in some of the major events that took place.
Yeah, so. It's interesting that he kind of like just has disappeared for a large portion of the season.
Yeah.
I guess there's so many characters.
For the better for it. Yeah, we introduced a lot of new characters this season.
So I guess somebody has to take the sideline.
Well, moving along, we have someone who typically doesn't have all that much screen time, but annoys me literally every single time they are on screen, and that's number 55, Grand Maester Pycelle. He's just so annoying.
I mean, that's the perfect way. That's the perfect way to describe him. I feel just a very annoying old man.
Like that last episode just exemplifies how annoying he is, dropping that scroll in front of Tyrion's face, pretending he's like so old he dropped the scroll.
I think that's what makes him so frustrating, because we know a lot of people do know that he's able-bodied enough.
Yeah, and then him sitting there like so aghast when Tyrion said that to Joffrey. Like, oh, he's such a like puppet to Cersei and Joffrey, and it's just annoying.
Yeah, he needs to go.
He doesn't really do a lot of moves on his own, but whenever he's there, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
So next up might be controversial.
Oh no.
But at number 54, we have Stannis Baratheon. So I do know Stannis has some loyal fans out there, particularly book readers who love Stannis. But I have to say, I'm a good portion through the third book. I don't really see what they love about Stannis so much there either.
Oh, really?
So, I guess it's just your preference. But for being one of the people vying for the throne, Tyler, and arguably a protagonist, why do you have Stannis so low?
I don't know. I feel like his methods of trying to become king are kind of like, I'm trying to think of the right wording, I guess, kind of slimy in a sense. He's kind of like, using kind of cheating tactics to try and get his way to the throne, having Lady Melisandre just conjure up all this crazy magic to try and get him on the throne. Renly, he kills his brother. He's trying to kill Gendry. He just found out it's related to him. And then he has all the stuff with the leeches, and then we see, of course, Robb Stark dies. So I don't know. I feel like there's just a better way to get to the throne than just kind of like cheating your way there. And the fact that he's killed characters I've liked, or have tried to like kill characters that I like.
Yeah, he had Sir Davos who comes back from the dead, basically, and he just throws him right into a cell, leaves him there for a while. His wife just has their daughter, like, locked up in this tower.
Yeah, like, literally, like, right out of a fairy tale. Just lock her up in the the highest tower in the land.
So, yeah, I mean... I don't know. He's so clouded by his duty and right to be king that it really lets him do just about anything. And even last season, Lady Melisandre told him he'll betray everything, all his morals.
That's what I mean. Like,
in their journey. Like so, and he seems to be on that path from what we've seen in season 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer he's going to do all this stuff with Lady Melisandre, but at least I guess he's persistent. He really wants that throne, but he tried to go actually storm in and try and take it and lost. So I guess he's just going to keep going back to his little bat cave, and he'll just lick his wounds.
Well, we see Leo saying, IDK man, Stannis is better suited for the throne than Joffrey. I would agree. I would rather Stannis be there than Joffrey now.
The bar is low.
Yes, Joffrey's like the bottom of the barrel, clearly, from our ranking. And then Ryan says, there are moments I like Stannis and moments I don't.
That's also true.
There's sometimes he's okay. He also doesn't have charisma. Like, if you're going to be kind of like this weird, dark character, I need a little bit of charisma to endear me to you, at least. And
yeah, I feel like of the Baratheons, he is like the least, I guess, charismatic, or perhaps he doesn't have as much of a personality as compared to Robert or Joffrey or Gendry, I guess, also. And they're all of them at least are like trying to be a little bit more charismatic and have some personality, where Stannis is very stoic. So I guess that makes sense.
Well, next up we have our next dead character on the list.
Oh man,
I'm expecting some to pop up, some owls in the chat. At number 53, we have Aurel, which was the wildling who was able to warg into the hawk. Yes. And the one who hated Jon right from the get-go. He tried to chop and kill Jon and Ygritte as they were making their way up the wall.
Yeah, what a crappy thing to do, honestly. I mean, that was like one of the things I had to think back to when I was like going through the list. I was like, oh yeah, he tried to kill them and then tried to befriend them when they got back up there.
There goes Leo. Who? Oh, he counts. Listen, he was in a lot of episodes this season. Every time we went to Jon and Ygritte, he was there.
Leo's speaking my language. I say every time the season ends, Larry sends me this list of people, and I was like, these people count. Like we're counting these people.
Technically, he's not dead, at least from the lore of the book, and we saw it. Technically, he is in that hawk for now, so he's living as a hawk beyond
that's a thing you can do, I guess, in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there's like the theory that soon, because Aurel dies in the book a different way, but he wargs into the hawk just like he does in the show, and they think that eventually you just lose yourself in there. But at least now, like we saw, that hawk attacked Jon after he died. But Aurel, you're dead. You didn't have a chance with Ygritte. Nice try.
He did his best, I guess.
So next up, we have one of Tyler's faves. At number 52, we have Gren.
Oh, yeah. Woohoo, Gren. Woo.
I mean, there's nothing really to talk about with Gren.
I have nothing to say, really. They're just there.
He made fun of Samwell a little bit more this season.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't vibe with a lot of the Night's Watch. They're just, I mean, they're not bad. I don't dislike them. There's nothing about them that I hate or anything. It's just like, they're just kind of there.
Leo says he can live his fun little life in the air. It says I wanted, and he did. He wanted him some Ygritte. I made that blatantly clear. That's why he hated Jon. All right, so Gren, 52. Next up, we have number 51, Edmure Charlie. So this is Catelyn's brother and Rob's uncle, who kind of is just a bumbling buffoon.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe him.
We first meet him not able to get any of his 3 arrows into his father's
they were getting pissed.
Yeah, good old Blackfish was not having it. But and then later we see him like ruining Rob's plans by not listening. And then when he's finally happy for the first time, he takes one for the team to marry one of the Frey girls. And then he's all happy when he sees that she was pretty.
I was shocked too. So, I mean, that was when we talked about for like the last 2 seasons was like his daughters weren't attractive, and then they were. Yeah.
So anything fun to add for Edmure?
I think that was probably like the best moment of the season. I guess this character, at least for this season, was the missing of the arrows, and then Blackfish getting very angry with him.
That was like telling them not to unleash the whatever he was referring to his penis as. I was like, oh my god, Edmure. But yes, they're saying Edmure was just foolish. He did get the cute one, like the only cute Frey girl in there. They hooked Edmure up. Yes. But next up, we head back to the Night's Watch for Tyler. At number 50, we have Edison Tollett. Ed. Dolorous Ed.
Yeah.
He's the other one who's right there with Samwell and Gren venturing around.
You could just copy and paste my thoughts from most of the Night's Watch. I don't like or I don't hate them nor like them really. They're just there, and that's okay, I guess.
Tyler just is happy that Pip only showed up for 1 episode, so he didn't get included in the rank. He showed up for 1 second.
Wasn't that in the last episode? Because our lost reaction video. Because you were like, oh my gosh, Pip, and I was like, yay. Like, I guess.
Yes, Leo. Ed is the one with the long hair out of the Night's Watchmen. All right, we have our first of many ties to come, but we got pretty far without a tie, so there's that.
That's good.
So next up at number 48, Ed is like Pippin to Jon Snow. He has his homies in the Night's Watch. Yeah. I mean, he does. They are. Jon is like little Elijah Wood up there, and all the other little Night's Watch are just the other little hobbits running around. Sam.
That's what it feels like.
But coming in at number 58 or 48, sorry, we'll start off with Mance Rayder, the King Beyond the Wall. What were your thoughts on him this season, Tyler?
I don't think we didn't really get like too much with him, so I guess it's kind of like one of those up in the air kind of picks. Isn't that the guy that is the Steppenwolf? Let's say
Yes,
that
it's
yeah,
Steppenwolf.
that was like the only thing I remembered really as far as like when he showed up. I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy that's Steppenwolf in I guess Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That was kind of like the only cool thing I took away from it. It was nice to see him. I didn't really like him nor dislike him. He was just there. We'll see. Maybe we'll see him in the future. Maybe he'll be better. Maybe he'll be higher up in the next ranking or not around. Who knows if we'll see him again.
All right. So, what you laughing at, Leo? Talking about Mance Raider with the laughing face. But also tied up for number 48, a character that we said goodbye to. He didn't die, but we said goodbye to good old Hot Pie this season.
I mean, he may as well have just been dead. He's just gonna go make pies and bread and all that stuff in the middle of all this chaos.
Yeah, I don't know if Hot Pie would have survived if he kept going with Arya and Gendry, who are no longer together anyways. So who knows what would have happened to little Hot Pie?
I don't know. I thought it would have been kind of funny if you think about it. If he had stuck along with Arya, it could have been Arya, Hot Pie, and the Hound.
The Hound might have just killed him, to be honest.
I mean, you're right.
The Hound is only keeping Arya at this point because he wants that prize. He wants the money. I don't know that he has a purpose for Hot Pie. He might have just mowed him down.
I was gonna say maybe he just ate him or something.
Leo says Hot Pie top 15.
For what?
Leo.
For what?
I mean, he's gotten better. Because when we first met him, he was so annoying.
He talked a big game for someone who had like no fighting skills.
He made a cute little wolf bread for Arya.
That was like his highlight.
So, that was Ryan says we will not tolerate this Hot Pie slander.
I mean, I get
the Hot
it.
Pie fan club in the chat.
I guess. I mean, more power to him. I don't hate Hot Pie, I should say. But he was fine. I mean, it wasn't like a heartbreaking loss when he decided to exit the series this season.
All right, well, wait, let's see. Tyler slandering Hot Pie, bruh. He has the best skill in the party, the cooking skill.
I mean, yeah. That's his moneymaker now. I guess he's not going to be a warrior. He's just going to make pies and breads and all that for the rest of his life. For however long he lives.
Coming up next is kind of a 2-for-1. It's not a tie, but it's a 2-for-1. At number 47, we have Theon Greyjoy, aka Reek.
Yeah, what a name. What a name.
So obviously we came into season 3 really not liking Theon Greyjoy at all. Last season he was just above Joffrey actually in our ranking. That's how low he was.
Yeah.
They kind of just beat you down to the point where you still don't like him and
Literally.
you haven't forgot what he's done, but you're just like, Jesus.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I mean, he literally spent all of season 3 being tortured. I mean, poor guy.
Like, I'd rather they just had killed him. Like, just kill him.
I mean, he wanted to be killed at that, at certain points.
So what were your thoughts for good old Reek in season 3?
I don't know. I guess I kind of feel bad because like he did so many despicable things last season, and he's getting. I was okay with it in the beginning because it's like, okay, good, he's getting his comeuppance, but then like it just kept going and going and going, and then Ramsay cuts off his penis and starts like, ripping pieces of his fingers off and all these other torturous things. Beats him to the point where he calls himself Reek. I definitely feel like he has paid for his sins, if you will. I don't know how much longer he's going to be tortured or beaten into submission because he's kind of just stuck there. I kind of feel bad. Although I did kind of laugh because of the fact he got like him and Ramsay went on that little mission and then ended up being right back and then being right back where they started. That was like the one Theon excursion for the last like season or so. Otherwise he's just been strapped up being tortured.
Running around in the woods.
I guess that's part of why he moved up a little bit more, just because like they're obviously of course worse characters than him, but like he's not higher up because he's still like terrible at this moment in time. But like I feel bad because he's being tortured, so we'll see.
Ryan says he killed John Wick's dog, so I don't like Theon.
Yeah,
he did kill John Wick's dog as well.
Yeah,
I got what was coming for him there too.
that was my big exposure to Alfie Allen before this, because that was like his big role, I guess, that I thought of was John Wick. And he was the crux of the John Wick franchise.
And I mean, I guess the worst part about Theon is that, or Reek now, that what he did with Winterfell started to really distract and sent Ruth Bolton away too. So in a way, it also helped to lead to the Red Wedding, because he took over Winterfell, he took the North, which kind of divided Robb and led to that path, made him more desperate. So
and he betrayed Robb in the first place.
Still screw you.
Yeah.
Reek, I feel a little bad for Theon. No, but
if you want to separate the two, of course.
All right, just above Theon Reekjoy, we'll call him
Theon Reekjoy. I like that.
At number 46, we have our latest dead character. We have Lord Rickard Carstark. The Lord who was so bloodthirsty and vengeful that he just couldn't contain himself and decided to kill off little children Lannisters.
Yeah, he straight up just burst into that room, starts stabbing kids.
Just murders these kids for no reason.
Like, literally, he just straight up just bursts in the room, starts stabbing kids in the chest. Like, Jesus Christ.
And yeah, that leads to him getting executed. Robb chooses not to keep him hostage, particularly because Rickard starts poking him and saying, "Oh, my lord is gonna, or my king is gonna chastise me before he lets me go with a slap on the hand." And then, got his head chopped off.
Yeah, he was talking to that mess. Yeah, he got himself decapitated. So.
And unfortunately, again, Rickard Carstark's actions directly led to the needing of the Red Wedding happening. So how'd you feel about this Carstark man, Tyler?
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was just wild. I mean, just the perfect way to describe it was just wild. Just seeing him just in anger, just burst into a room and just stab a bunch of children with his sword. Like, that's like I feel like that's like the biggest takeaway, the shocking moment of him doing that. And then, as you already said, him just kind of egging Robb Stark into basically cutting his head off. It makes you wonder what would have happened if he had stuck around, though, I guess.
I will say the books make him even more unreasonable, though, because
really?
both of his sons just die in battle. Like, Jaime does kill them, but Jaime kills them in a battle in the war.
Oh, it's not
so
the
he's
same.
mad at Jaime. So it's not like this, where Jaime coerces his son into the cell and kills him.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So at least you understood in the show a little bit, like, why he was so mad. In the books, you're like, bruh, they were soldiers. I'm sorry.
War. Yeah, war is war.
Well, next up, at number 45, we have a character we also maybe said goodbye to. He's on his own little journey now. We have Rickon Stark at 45. Little Rickon.
Good for him.
So, how'd you feel about Rickon in season 3?
I mean, he was there. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's around. I feel like that's always been like the quote, Rickon Stark, he's there. Just trust me, he's there.
He's somewhere.
I mean, he's a character that's just around. He's kind of just like along for the journey, whether it be, he wasn't really around for the journey in the beginning. He was just chilling off to the side in the dungeon with his wolf. But now that he's like kind of in some of the storylines, he kind of has just kind of been there when it comes to when he was with Joe Jin and Bran and Hodor and Osha. And then there's just Rickon just over there, just hanging out.
Leo says, "Little useless ass Rickon."
Exactly. That's that. Like I say, I tried to spice it. I tried to hype him up because he's now he's kind of in the storylines. So, I mean, you're not wrong. I agree. I mean, he was just he was there. He's definitely the most useless Stark out of the bunch. I mean, I could probably get more use out of Ned Stark right now than Rickon because Rickon doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, at number 43/44, we have our next tie, starting off with Qyburn, who didn't do that much this season either.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the only thing he did was he healed Jaime's stump. hand, right?
Yes. So he was with Jaime and Brienne when they came back to King's Landing, but he's the one who tied up and helped heal Jaime's little stump after his hand got chopped off.
Yeah, that was like his big contribution.
that was his thing. So, any thoughts on Qyburn, or he's just there?
I guess good thing he has those skills. Otherwise, I guess Jaime would have just died. He would have probably got some sort of infection
Jaime
and
was
then
threatening
died.
his life.
It probably, I mean, that's Jaime Lannister. What do you expect? I guess.
Well, then, also tied with Qyburn for 43, we have Thoros of Myr, the Brotherhood without banners out there. This is the man who is able to conjure up and bring Beric Dondarrion back to life. He's basically the one that captured Arya as well, but with his dramatic beard.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah, his main claim to fame is being able to bring Beric Dondarrion back to life.
Yeah, and he's a much cooler character because of the fact he keeps coming back from the dead.
So you're like, okay, well, we're glad you're here, I guess. Useful power, but as a character, he's all right. He's fine. You don't really love him.
That's how I mean. That's how I feel about Rickon as well. Rickon, he's there. Good for him.
Except Rickon don't have any skill.
No, not at this
point.
Rickon
don't even have the one skill.
Maybe he'll get one. I mean, maybe along his journey, maybe we'll get a storyline with him next season because he's off on his own, I guess, kind of. If we see him again, and who knows, we may not see him for 2-3 seasons. Who knows?
Yes. So then, moving along to number 42, we have Jojen Reed. Our second character, whose actor was in the Maze Runner series, along with good old Littlefinger, also in the Maze Runner film.
Yeah, except that Jojen, the actor that plays Jojen Reed, he's like he's like consistently looked very young. Like he's like, I think he's
exactly the same.
Like he's like older than us, I think.
And he looks 12 years old.
Like that's what I mean. I think he's like our age or older than us, and he's he looks like he's like a 15-year-old.
Yeah, so little Joe Jin along for the ride, trying to teach Bran about his powers, consistently making Osha mad by whispering these things into his ear. And he's the one who convinces Bran that they need to go beyond the wall and not go to meet Jon at Castle Black. So we also see him like have a seizure at one point. How'd you feel about Joe Jin?
He was another one that was all right, I guess. Like I mean, I've said consistently throughout the reactions for season 3 that like Bran's storyline was my least favorite. So like I never really like vibed with any of them all that much. He's kind of just like an extension of Bran. Like him and Bran kind of have like the same, I guess, almost power sets in a sense, if you want to call them power sets. And I hope that they become better characters. But at least at this point, they're just fine, I guess. Both him and the other Reed as well. I guess it's his sister.
Yeah, she's still to come. We actually ranked her higher, but Ryan says you'd be surprised how many GOT actors are in Harry Potter and Maze Runner.
Oh. Well, yeah, we already listed Walder Frey.
And then it's even more nuts when it comes to good old Star Wars and MCU. They're everywhere right now.
Yeah, that's the
famous
other thing,
ones.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke, Kit Harington. Yeah, Richard Madden. Yeah, I guess Phasma, Captain Brienne of
Phasma.
I mean that was like I feel like out of the ones at least that we've seen, she was the biggest waste.
Yes, definitely.
I'm glad I watched it in reverse, though. I'm glad that I watched her as Phasma, because she's way
it would have been even more disappointing. You'd be like, "Wow, they really wasted her. She could be so awesome," and they just did nothing.
I saw him in reverse, so I was like, "All right, well, now I see why everyone was so angry, because she was pretty lame as Captain Phasma."
Yeah. Leo says that the Jojen Reed is also in Queen's Gambit. I actually haven't watched Queen's Gambit. I'm sorry.
He's one of the other like supporting characters. I've seen it. It's on Netflix player if you want to watch it.
Well, moving along, we have another tie at number 40.
Oh man, the ties keep coming.
The ties are upon us now. At number 40, the first character is Shireen Baratheon, Stannis Baratheon's little daughter, who has the grayscale deformity on her face, and her main contribution is comforting Sir Davos, but
she helps him read.
teaching him to read.
Yay!
Yay! Davos can read thanks to Shireen.
I mean, that was a cute moment. I mean, that's why. Well, it was hard to put her like super high because like she wasn't really in the show that much to like be like a major contributor. But, you know, there's so many terrible characters that as long as you're not like a terrible person, you're going to be at like at least the midway point of Game of Thrones. That's what I mean. As long as you're not a terrible, completely despicable person, you'll probably at least make the midway point of the rankings, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very sweet. She's very cute every time we see her. And I do like seeing her with Sir Davos. So that's why I think she's around this middle area.
Both of them are great together.
Yeah. And then tied with Shireen, we have Gilly.
Oh.
Hey, Gilly.
I feel like the same kind of thing applies to Gilly, you know. She's a sweet character, doesn't really contribute all that much, but you know, as long as you're not a completely despicable person, you'll at least make the middle of the pack in the Game of Thrones, I feel.
That was for Shireen, Leo. Sir Davos is yet to come.
Oh.
So Davos is much higher in our rankings than 40.
Yeah. Don't want to trigger Leo too early.
Oh, Leo is shook that Gilly is above Hot Pie.
I mean, Gilly did a little bit more, I guess.
Gilly, she made a fire. She showed her usefulness when Samwell didn't know what he was doing out there. So she helped. They probably would have died if it wasn't for Gilly or Sam. But yeah, she's a little survivor with her mute child.
Yeah.
That very silent baby.
It is a very quiet child. It is quite bizarre.
All right, so coming in at number 39, we have Bran Stark. So, a couple of his people on the journey with him do rank above Bran, probably because they're just more likable.
They're just more interesting, I feel. You know, at this point in time, I would say.
Bran is a character. He has something interesting there, like this power set, like idea that's happening. It's just not being unveiled at a reasonable pace. It's just taking forever to kind of get anywhere with it right now. So throughout season 3, we see him randomly having visions, and that's about it.
Yeah, like I said, his story was my least favorite out of like the entire season. So,
Ryan is shook. He says Bran over Hot Pie.
Man, I'm sorry, the Hot Pie army. Hot Pie army's coming for me, I guess.
But I mean, this season, I don't know. Yeah, it's just we've expressed it several times, Tyler particularly, that the Bran storyline in general is his least favorite storyline of season 3, and Bran is in the middle of it, so he gets number 39.
It is his storyline. Did you ever say which is your least favorite, Larry? Because I'd be curious to know what yours is. I mean, now that you're rewatching it, I guess.
For this season, it's Bran.
Okay, so I'm not crazy here thinking it's mine.
I think season 2, my least favorite was Jon's. Sorry, I'm
glad that we're on the same page. Yay.
And then season 3, my least favorite is Bran's. Bran's was close, but he was part of Theon's, which was interesting in season 2.
That's true.
But yeah. So moving along, we have our next tie at number 37, starting with Grey Worm, who is the little leader of the Unsullied of Daenerys's army. I haven't made Leo and Ryan might be scandalized that he's this high and above Hot Pie too.
I know.
But, why did you rank Grey Worm as high as you did, Tyler?
I mean, he just seems like he's going to be an interesting character. I guess mine's more of like a premature hope that he's going to be cool as like the leader of the Unsullied. I mean, he seems like a decent enough character. I feel like a lot of Daenerys' team in general are like really interesting characters. So I guess that's part of why he got ranked so high. But like he's not like on that level as the other characters in her little group, especially because he doesn't like have like a lot of dialogue. But I'm just hopeful that he'll become a better character. I guess it's like a preemptive, positive hope that he'll be cooler.
Yeah, Grey Worm. I think he has a great.
Leo says he's a little low, so like maybe I'm on the right track.
Okay, they're both okay. Ryan says, "JK, I love Grey Worm in the Unsullied's intro in season 3." So we're good. I think Grey Worm has a great moment. I like his best moment for me is when he keeps the name Grey Worm with Daenerys when she says for them to pick their own names that they'd like. And he starts to get a little bit of freedom. So he doesn't have a whole lot in season
I guess
3,
it's,
but
I guess it makes sense in this world of Game of Thrones that you just have to pick, stick with your crazy name. You've got call me Grey Worm. It wouldn't make sense if he was like, all right, from now on you will call me Steve.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There's not very many normal names in this show, so I've kind of just embraced that at this point.
well, tied with Grey Worm for number 37, we have Lady Melisandre.
Oh
Our
man,
red woman comes in much higher than Stannis, though. So there's
lady in
that.
red.
So why do you like Melisandre so much more than you like Stannis?
I think that she has a bit more fun mystery behind her. I think she's obviously more charismatic as a character than Stannis, because Stannis is very stoic and doesn't really have too much of a personality. I feel like a lot of the personality from their storyline comes from Lady Melisandre. Um, I think she's just a much cooler character all around. Like, I don't love her or anything necessarily, but at least she brings something interesting to the table that we don't see from a lot of different characters in Game of Thrones. That crazy, unpredictable, weird magic element that still is kind of like weirded me out. But like, I'm weirdly intrigued to see more of when it comes to the stuff with the leeches or like the demon assassin that we saw kill Renly. I'm curious how much further this craziness is going to go with her.
Hi, Emma. Thanks for joining us. Emma says Stannis is a little boring. At least Melisandre makes his side interesting.
See,
Basically.
there you go. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Emma just basically said what I just said. Actually, I didn't read the comment. I wasn't reading her comment. I am not reading the comments right now. So that was just glad that we agree, Emma.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, again, she does make a point. It was Sir Davos who makes them leave her behind, but with her crazy magic, she could have probably helped them in that attack on King's Landing.
God only knows what she could have done, honestly, on the
It seems
battlefield.
to be, I mean, it's only because of her that he's won as much as he has. I mean, he keeps losing the big battles, but anything that they do, it's because of Melisandre. And
with
she's
the leeches.
kind of the leader of them. I mean, I know it's all for Stannis, but she's the one who's doing the moves. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she's killing off all of the people in the Robb Stark, I guess,
seducing Gendry.
yeah, that was a weird scene. Poor
Also,
Gendry.
Saving Sir Davos with the Lord of the Light. She said he has a part to play, so we can't kill him. So
thankfully, I do like Sir Davos, so I'm glad that was another, I guess, positive that I didn't think of offhand.
Well, coming in at number 36, we have Mira Reed, the sister to Jojen Reed, and she ranks a little bit higher than him. Personally, I think she's just a funnier character. Like, she's a little bit more fun than Jojen.
Yeah, and she does a little bit more,
like her stuff with Osha.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, she's a much more interesting character because of that. Those dynamics between her and Osha. They clearly don't get along very well.
And she's like the hunter. She's the one who protects Jojen. He'd be dead if she wasn't around.
Yeah, well, that's why I obviously see the parallels between Jojen and Bran in that sense, where Bran has Osha and Hodor and I guess Rickon, and then Jojen has her.
And
well, I mean, I guess, the direwolves they're around somewhere. Like every now and then we'll see their direwolf. And then Ghost will show up sometimes, with Jon.
Grey Wind.
Well, he's not showing up anymore. But
we'll get to Grey Wind later. But his appearances this season were a little unfortunate.
I think as far as those direwolves go, I think I don't know if they'll ever come back. I just find it so fascinating that like all these out of all these direwolves, like Arya's is just somewhere in the world.
Yeah,
somewhere.
All right.
I guess.
Well. Here's Ryan's answer. Coming in at number 35, we have Tormund Giantsbane. So the ginger-haired giant wildling that is on the move with Jon and Ygritte. He's the more reasonable one. So Aurel constantly just wants to kill Jon or get rid of him, and Tormund is like, no, we'll like give him a chance. He gives kind of funny advice to Jon about just jamming it in.
I did think he was a very entertaining character from when we do see him on screen.
So, Tormund, he's at 35 in season 3. Yes, Ryan is definitely shook. He says top 10.
I mean, he could end up maybe eventually.
He could be there.
I feel like he wasn't in it just enough to be super duper high. Like top 10 is a bit much when you think of all the people that are in the show at this point. So
yeah, so
being in the top 35 isn't bad for your first season.
Good. He's ahead of a lot of main characters for sure. Yeah. Leo says Tormund major low.
Come on.
They do love their minor characters, Leo and Ryan.
Tormund, Hot Pie.
Emma says, I don't think Tormund is top 10 in season 3. Maybe later, who knows? Emma is like right on that wavelength with Tyler.
I don't know who this Emma person is, but I need to know who this person is because they clearly are in my mind right now.
Ryan does say, I mean, he does have that fun intro as well, where Jon bends the knee to Tormund thinking he's the king. He says, your grace bends the knee every time I fart now.
God.
All right, so moving along, we have another minor character who makes a nice impression every time he was on screen. At number 34, we have Blackfish Tully. This is Catelyn's brother, who just puts Edmure in his place every single time.
That was like one of the sole reasons why I put him up that high, because that was like a very entertaining segment for him.
Him doing that, him kind of making fun of Edmure when they're at the wedding, and he survived. He had to go find some place to take a pee, and that saved his life.
Good for him.
So he was one of the few people to escape the Red Wedding. So yeah, see, Ben forgetting about these people like nobody's business.
Oh man,
Blackfish is like old gruffy man. So hopefully we'll see him. He's one of the last remaining people of that family. Okay, so all the way up at number 33, one of our biggest glow ups of the season, not biggest. She actually has a sibling who blew up a little bit more than she did. But at number 33, we have Cersei Lannister. Wow. So she's been damn near her son at the bottom of our list so far. But season 3, what hit different about Cersei this time round, Tyler?
I don't know. I just feel like her shade was like the amount of shade was just so entertaining this season that I had to put her up a little bit higher than usual. I feel like that's like the best way to describe how I'd feel. Just the level of shade. The fact that she is like, every time that her and Loras try to talk to each other, or I should say, Loras tries to talk to her, it's hilarious. I don't know. I was like, she's just so much. She's clearly still a terrible person, but like, the shade aspect, I think, is what made her like, I guess, be a little bit higher up.
Yeah, she also didn't have like
too many despicable moments this season.
Yeah, she didn't have those moments where she was like ready to kill people. She was ready, but we didn't see her like actively trying.
Yeah, she just threatened people.
Yeah, I mean, she said we should kill Loras and Sansa, but they didn't actually try to kill Loras and Sansa.
Exactly. Or that
might have bumped her back down.
Yeah, or that conversation where she's explaining the Raids of Castamere song to Marjorie, just straight up, just going into her. All right, top 15.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think this season is definitely a good season for Cersei.
I would say. I mean,
her back and forth with Marjorie is really fun. That moment with Loras, honestly, is like one of the funniest like Cersei moments of the season. And she has her funny moments. So yes, Shady Cersei is certainly my favorite. She also gets those moments where she gets owned, like by Tywin, when he tells her, I don't trust you because you aren't as smart as you think you are. But
Tywin just roasts everyone, and that's part of why he's hilarious.
that's why he's still yet to come. But
he gives
yes,
equal shade to every member of his family.
Yes, so Cersei, she's funny this season, and that helps make up for her just being a terrible person in our ranking. All right. Just above Cersei, kind of randomly, actually, at number 32, we have Beric Dondarrion. And Ryan did aptly mention earlier that new actor, I think we discussed it in that episode.
Those are always jarring to me. They just don't. They just have new people play them, and they don't say anything. It's just like, oh, that guy looks different. It's a different guy. So,
I remember had to point out he had a very small part in season 1 before he was sent off to be killed by the Mountain.
Poor guy.
But new actor for Beric. He has some definite cool moments. Obviously, the coolest moment is when we first see him light up that freaking fire sword. You're like,
that was the moment. That was the moment I knew like he's gonna at least be in the top 30.
I mean, I was like that. I mean, that's sick. And his battle with the Hound, he put up a fight. The fire certainly helped him, but he puts up a fight against the Hound.
Kind of a big cheat code against the Hound, I feel.
But even his kind of discussions with Arya as they're trying to like. We learn about his moral code are interesting. That little Brotherhood without banners, their story isn't like the most interesting, but there are certainly cool moments, and I think most of them come through Beric Dondarrion.
Yeah, he is like the MVP of that group, I feel.
The Wolverine of Westeros.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because we see all the wounds that he accumulates as he keeps dying. He can't regenerate too well, you know.
Emma says, I love Richard Dormer's voice, who plays Beric. And Leo says, Beric with the sword was too dope. Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
The highlight of Beric's character is that damn flaming sword.
Flaming swords are a guaranteed cool thing in any form of media, I think.
Well, moving along at number 31, we have our next dead character, and it is Lord Commander Jeor Mormont.
Yeah, he died real early on.
Probably one of the more surprising deaths. I don't know. I guess a lot of the deaths this season are surprising, so I don't know why I said that. Like, I didn't expect most of the good people to die this season.
Yeah, anyone in episode 9. Yeah,
so like episode 4, we're just like trucking along. Episode 4 has so much going on in it that you're just like, whoa. But it takes you from one extreme to the next. Like, you're so happy and like hyped that Craster just got killed. And then they turn and killed Lord Commander Mormont. And you're like, wait a minute. No. I didn't want you to do that. Hold on.
You went too far.
Too far. But I did like his interactions with Jon, though we didn't get to see him with Jon this season. He had a little bit better interactions with Samwell this season. Kind of just showing the type of person he was. Like, he did care about these people and care about being a good Lord Commander. Even if he had things that maybe were misguided in his decision making. But any final thoughts on Lord Commander Mormont?
I think the only thing that I was always, I've been unfortunately saying since, he died, since that episode, is I really would have liked to have seen him actually interact with Jorah at least once before he died, because we didn't really get any interaction. We know that they're related, of course, father and son, and then we get like some backstory when it comes to them, but like, I would have at least liked to have seen them interact at least once, but sadly they didn't.
Yeah, and certainly, I think he did deserve a better death than he got. Those men knew damn well that they better stab him literally in the back, because they were not going to take the old bear on their own.
No,
it would have been a much. I mean, even after he got stabbed, he was still rolling. So
yeah.
R.I.P. Lord Commander Mormont. Also, we move into another character who was unceremoniously killed off this season. At number 30, we have Ros. Another shocking death, because it just comes out of nowhere. you're just like, wait, what?
Just
Oh,
randomly, she's just strung up dead in Joffrey's room.
yeah. Oh God. And it's like, thank goodness they didn't show it and like show her
Yeah.
get killed, because it would have been horrible. But the image is just like so haunting, like seeing her like hung up like that with those arrows in her. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, no, Joffrey, you I hate you. Also, Littlefinger, I hate you. But
best way to describe it, just I hate you to both of them. Yeah.
But this season, she was working a lot more with Varys, which unfortunately is kind of what got her killed, is that she started working with Varys and Littlefinger found her out. But she was still making moves for the better and like trying to help Sansa and trying to help the good guys, if you will, of King's Landing. We did see some of those moments with Hot Pie. When Hot Pie was like checking her out before he went in there, and she's trying to describe to Varys like what what the girl said about him. But yeah, she had a couple of nice moments. R.I.P. Roz. Do you have anything else on her?
I think you summed it up quite well. It's just one of those deaths that I would have liked. I mean, she was she was probably one of the more interesting side characters that we've seen throughout these seasons so far. So for her to get that kind of really crappy death is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have another minor character at number 29, but one that I think it's pretty impossible not to just love, and that is Hodor at 29.
Yeah. Lovable giant, man.
Our lovable giant. And what I love about Hodor is they always give him, whether it's that random naked scene in season 1,
God, yeah.
or just these random moments with him that you're just like, oh, Hodor. This season, I love him just like yelling down that well for no reason,
Hodor.
yelling his name down there.
Yeah.
You also feel bad for him because he like hates the thunder, and I mean it's kind of cool that Bran can do it, but Bran just like takes control of him and knocks him out.
Yeah, straight up.
You're like, oh, okay. But he's our human carrying machine, always carrying Bran, literally carrying him around everywhere.
Yeah, good for him.
So, what are your thoughts on Hodor to get him in the top 30?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like a big, lovable oaf kind of character. I mean, he's kind of hard not to like at this point. I mean, he was one of the, I guess you could call him the highlights of that experience, you know, that storyline with Bran, just because there wasn't really a lot of like too interesting things going on with their storyline, but at least like he had some fun tidbits even here and there as Leo, you know, that's all he can say. He says Hodor. That's like all the things he says is Hodor, Hodor, Hodor. And I'm okay with it, you know. I think it wouldn't be as charming if he actually could like say things.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving along at number 28, we have Loras Tyrell,
Iron Fist,
who we talked about already. One of his funnier moments is getting owned by Cersei.
Honestly, yeah.
Very rudely thrown down and walked away from. But Loras this season, though, falling for that stupid little finger prostitute boy and ruining everything. He just had to sleep with that little prostitute boy.
Ridiculous.
And give up the info, Loras. But
he was too easy.
Other than that, he was just very sweet to Sansa. He was very nice, trying to make the best of a situation he didn't want, though she did want very much so. Sansa
poor guy. You know, he has to marry Cersei. I mean, that's pretty terrible, I feel.
Yeah, so we'll see how that wedding goes next season.
I don't know. I mean, that's just based on what we've seen so far, it's not looking too good.
Ryan says Loras gets owned by everyone. He is Iron Fist. Oh, all right.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. I mean, I liked Iron Fist a little bit more in season 2 of the show, but I mean, I know you haven't seen any of the Netflix stuff besides the first episode of Daredevil, which
the one episode of Daredevil.
But I mean, you would understand why people make fun of him as Iron Fist if you had watched the show.
Yeah, here they come. Leo says Loras getting this high. And Emma says, okay, I think Loras Tyrell would come close to Shay on my list at the bottom. Ooh.
Well,
And there it is, hot pie over Lawrence.
come on. Hot pie, man. I mean, I don't hate hot pie, you know. It
Good
is
old
what
hot
it
pie.
is. He's
Well,
all right, you know. I feel like maybe Loras and Hot Pie would get along when they spoke to each other.
Well, I think our chat is about to be scandalized here in a second again. So,
oh God, here we go.
We have a tie for number 26 and number 27. The first one is not scandalous, so we'll start with her. And that is Missandei. That is Daenerys's translator. And
she's in the Fast and the Furious movies.
yes. Who we love. Good on Nathalie Emmanuel. Is amazing and gorgeous. Is a freaking stunning. But this season, I first started liking her like right away as I saw her character quickly like thinking of more appropriate ways to translate for Daenerys, so she didn't have to give her all of that rude insults that were being hurled her way.
Yeah.
And I think Daenerys also takes note of this with Missandei, and is a part of the reason she takes her immediately. Is that she knows what she's doing. And then afterward, we see that cute little moment of like, we are not men. And we see her helping Daenerys brush up on her Dothraki vocalization skills.
Yeah, I like their relationship. That's part of why I have her so high. Is I just like at least so far what we've gotten from Missandei. I think that she's a really fun character, and I think she's a great compliment to her, Daenerys. I mean.
Yeah, she's obviously really intelligent. I forget how many. It's a ton of languages that she tells Daenerys.
Yeah, ridiculous amounts of them.
Yeah, she's really intelligent. Missandei is too pure. That's the other thing with her, is she has just a really pure, kind spirit about her, which I think is a nice change, because Daenerys does have a lot of male figures around her who are all about war. She has a lot of warriors around her.
I mean, literally, between
so it's nice to have that softness.
All the people up there. Well, yeah, you got to have a female, I guess, perspective up there with them, because she
and
has,
even Daenerys herself this season was going much more warrior-esque. Like she wasn't being like that soft mother figure.
Well, you got to think, like, at least from what we've seen, it was like, she was with Viserys, and then she was with Khal Drogo, with the Dothraki, and then I guess you had that, like, I forget her, the witch that got burnt to death that I was okay with her. That was like the only other female person. Yeah, and then you have Jorah, and now Barristan, Darius. I mean, it's all men, so it's nice to have a female up there with her. It's like, I guess that's her female best friend. So yay.
Well, especially because one of them got murdered, and the other one she locked away in that tomb last time. The two like handmaids that were closest to her.
Straight up betrayed her, and now she's locked away.
Yeah, well, and helped to kill her other little best friend. So, yes. All right, but here's the controversial one. I don't remember if people got mad at us for our ranking of him this low last time. But coming in at number 26, we have Samwell Tarly.
Oh, man.
Who I think is going to scandalize the folks who are here with us.
I'm waiting for the Samwell over Hot Pie comments.
Yeah, so why is Samwell this middle of the road for you, Tyler?
I mean, he's such like a lovable, charming character, but like it's kind of in the same vein as Hodor, and that like he's like a lovable kind of oaf, but like at least he's trying his best to kind of try and be more active for the most part, I should say. Sometimes that's why he's kind of difficult, because sometimes he is kind of just like, an idiot, for lack of a better term. And the fact he should have, the stuff he's doing with Gilly, all of that was just problematic in the sense like he was trying to just get everybody killed just because he wanted to get Gilly out of there. And everybody was like, you're on your own, bro. Like, we're not going to help you with this. But he's, at least at this point, he gets out there, he protects Gilly with his trusty weapon. And I actually have my prop bot here right now. I told you. I remember I pulled it out because I found it the other day for the last video we made.
Yeah.
But I think he's an okay, sweet character. I just don't know what's going to happen with him. I feel like that's one of those characters that could very easily just die at any moment, and I would probably accept it. That's fine.
Well, that's the thing. You're like not ready for someone like Lord Commander to just randomly be killed. But if Samwell were to die, you'd be like,
I would understand. I would understand if he died at any point, but like,
I mean, you'd
but I
be
like him
sad,
for
but
what he's doing right
you would
now.
know. I think
Yeah.
Samwell, so he's back on the come up. So season 1, you and I both had him ranked pretty high, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2, he definitely fell down the ranking for both of us.
Yeah, he's been going up and down.
And now he's coming back up again. He kills a White Walker this season, which is definitely his
that's pretty
highlight.
Cool. I mean, he should have died earlier, but yeah.
Other than that, yeah, that's my problem is Samwell. Sometimes you get frustrated with this lovable oaf. Hodor, yeah, he may yell Hodor when he needs to be quiet. But at least if those people came up on him, Hodor is big, he could like push them off. This Samwell, we see him getting attacked by these White Walkers, and he is just a bumbling like fool out there, like
just rolling around.
He should have been killed by the White Walkers because he's a little bit more than helpless for such an intelligent character. Yeah. When he needs to use his brain, it just like turns off and he just like accepts death.
I mean, I'm still shocked that he lived from the end of last season into this season, just because I figured he's dead. Like, we're gonna find him dead in the first episode. They're gonna like they're gonna go out there looking for him, and they're just gonna find like his arm or something, or his head or something. Just be like, oh well, there he goes. He was killed by the giant mob of White Walkers.
Yeah.
I have a random prop dragon glass. It's one of those. I have random Game of Thrones merch memorabilia, whatever you want to call it. Even though I wasn't a fan of Game of Thrones, it's just mystery boxes over the years and just stuff like that. So that's why I have random Game of Thrones things. I haven't bought anything since we started.
Well, coming in at a tie for number 24 and 25. First up, we have Sir Barristan Selmy, who makes quite the re-entrance in episode 1, saving Daenerys' life from that little warlock girl.
Weird bug thing. Yeah. Yeah, and the mysterious magic assassin girl. Yeah. We could have put her on the list, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Well, then the rest of his season obviously is spent giving counsel to Daenerys and sparring a little bit with Ser Jorah.
Yeah,
as they walk around.
They're the two that are definitely kind of at odds for kind of fighting over that spot with Daenerys.
So how'd you feel about Sir Barristan's return, Tyler?
I thought it was a really fun return. Obviously, we just talked about it, the way he returned, saving Daenerys from that little assassin girl. That was probably one of his main highlights of the season, I feel. But I liked him a lot beforehand when before he left initially. I was surprised to actually see him return in general because I figured that was kind of it for his character when he just left. But yeah, I'm excited to see him kind of join the party, the Daenerys team, if you will. I just love that Daenerys is kind of just picking up people as she goes on her journey, as she's gone on. That's kind of been her thing. It's almost like her Pokemon journey. She just picks up people along the way.
Picking up warriors as she goes and
That's what I mean. Jorah.
Like little Pokemon badges.
Yeah, that means Jorah, the Dothraki, the Unsullied, that she's just picking up people along the way. It's kind of a nice, fun little adventure kind of thing.
Yes. And then tied with Sir Barristan at number 24, we have Osha, the little wildling who now is off on her adventure with Rickon.
I mean, that's the only way that story is going to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if Rickon is just acting a fool, I don't know. But so Osha this season, obviously we talked about her fighting with Mira Reed, and she just is entertaining in those little spats. I also find her entertaining when she just gets mad about them talking about the magic. But we also got a really nice scene, I thought, with her kind of telling about her past and her life and why she is so adamant against going above that wall.
Yeah, she said, screw that.
Nah, we out. So how'd you feel about Osha before her departure with Lil Rickon, Tyler?
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well because I kind of share the exact same thoughts when it comes to Osha. I don't know what her storyline is going to be like, if it's going to be her and Rickon. I feel like that could be a boom or bust kind of story just because Rickon is kind of just not a nothing character, but he's definitely not main character status. So Osha, she brings a lot to the table personality-wise, so I've always enjoyed her as a character since she's been introduced. So I'm excited to see more of her. Hopefully she still has something interesting to offer next season, even if it has Rickon in it, I guess.
All right. Well, moving on to number 23, we have Gendry,
Oh man,
the little bastard boy
poor guy.
from Flea Bottom. He went on quite the journey this season, actually.
I'd say, yeah.
So him and Arya on the move, they get captured up by the Brotherhood, in which he wants to join the Brotherhood until they sell him to Melisandre.
Poor guy. Can't catch a break.
And then he thinks he's about to get some with this naked, beautiful lady who instead puts a leech on his package.
Like I said, what a guy. Poor guy.
Thankfully, though, Sir Davos is around before she straight up just kills him, which was next on the list for Melisandre to burn him alive. But no, now Gendry, who cannot swim, is out on the sea, rowing away, trying to escape from Stannis and Melisandre.
Yeah, it seems to be very bad luck, at least in this world at this point in time, to be a Baratheon, because you got somebody always trying to kill you. Joffrey, they've been trying to kill, Joffrey's terrible. People want to kill him. So, then Robert's dead, and now you got Gendry, was about to be killed, and then you got Renly being murdered by a ghost assassin. So it's like, not a good look for Gendry, poor guy, it's not his fault. He's a bastard child, and he just has to deal with all this craziness.
Yeah, I know, poor Gendry. He's another pretty lovable character. Really gotten to know him through his adventures with Arya. But yes, number 23. All right, there's another one coming up that I know the chat is about to be shook by, but
no.
For them being so high, it's going to be a Renly Baratheon, where they're like, why is this person so high on y'all's list? But before we get to that person, let's talk about number 22, Lord Varys. So I always have Varys much higher than Tyler.
I don't like either of them. Not really, anyway.
Listen, particularly the first half of season 4, I think is some of Varys's best moments. I love that moment, even though it's so dark. I love that moment.
With that guy in the box you're talking about?
Yes, when he reveals that he has kept that sorcerer in that box. I'm like,
that is very
because
dark.
It's so shocking because, yes, Lord Varys has had like kind of nefarious ways, but he's always just a schemer. So to see him like straight up keep this man in a box captured, you're like, oh, damn.
He's serious, I guess.
And then we'll get to his sparring partner later, but I love that moment with him and Lady Olenna Tyrell when they're in the gardens together. Classic. Varys, he's just great. And then we see him trying to bribe Shay later. Unfortunately, we see him getting owned though by Littlefinger in the climb, where Littlefinger's like, yeah, you're right, it is great to see your plans come to fruition, kind of how I just outdid you and screwed up every single plan you had been putting together this season, Varys. So maybe that's why he's low, is because he got owned by Littlefinger in the scheme of season 3.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look.
But yes, little bird. Oh, see, look at Ryan.
Oh man, everybody's top 10 to Ryan. It seems like
Ryan's top 10 is actually 20 people.
That's what I mean. His top. He keeps saying all these people in the top 10. Like that. That's more than 10. You got to pick 10.
Yeah. So Varys continues on. His little birds continue to fly, and he, the spider, is still in the gardens. So
he's doing anything he can to stick around, I guess.
And I think you mentioned that in our first actual reaction of episode 10 is, I think, a reason for you with Varys is you're not sure of his intentions still. So you're still filling him out. So like him trying to send Shay away, he says it's for the betterment of Tyrion. But when we first reacted, you questioned on if that is truly the reason he's trying to get her out of there.
You never know. Lord Varys likes to work in mysterious ways. So,
all right. Well, now it's time to shake the chat up again a little bit. At number 21, we have Daario Naharis. So he made it quite high on our list.
I didn't know that would be controversial.
Yeah, I think people feel very meh at best toward Daario, but I know
Oops.
you love seeing some Ed Skrein here, popping
Yeah,
up in
that was a
episode
nice
7.
that was a nice surprise. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So how did you feel about Dario to have him rank so high?
I thought he brought something fun to the table. He has like that, I guess, devilish charm to him, and he had some fun banter with the people before he ended up murdering them. And then the fun banter he had with Daenerys. I thought he showed his cards really well with Daenerys and kind of made himself look like a very powerful ally to have around. Yeah, Ajax from Deadpool. I mean, for that's for Francis. That's probably what Ed Skrein gonna be known for. I think this came out before Deadpool, didn't it?
Yes.
His appearance.
Oh my gosh, Hannah. Hi Hannah. Thanks for dropping in.
Not Francis. See what I mean?
No.
Francis.
So we've already discussed this. I've already gave a spoiler because it is such a jarring spoiler.
Oh yeah.
Season 4, Dario is recast, and it is because Ed Skrein goes to film Deadpool. So this was previous to his Deadpool role.
Well, but I don't know. I guess he made the right choice. I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, I guess.
But I think Dario he's just got a cool swagger to him, especially right off the bat. He's got a cool swag. Obviously, he takes Daenerys aside and doesn't kill her, so that made me like him off the bat.
Understandable, totally, yeah.
And then his ideas of making love to free women just being more satisfying than to slay.
our feminist king.
Yeah, our feminist king. And yeah, he drops them heads on the floor right before her. And obviously gets Daenerys a little bit flustered right off the bat. She's the one he cares about when she's like, oh, so you all made it back. And where's Dario?
Yeah.
Jorah, I'm glad to see you, but where's Dario?
Well, poor Jorah has been trying to be the love interest of Daenerys, but he's very clearly friend zoned.
Yes. So next up, we have another tie for 19 and 20, 2 ladies. And we're going to start off with the first one, who is our latest deceased character, and it is Talissa Stark, Robb Stark's young, beautiful wife.
One of the most traumatizing deaths of this season.
Yeah, so Talissa this season continues on with just being a really warm character. Obviously, between her looks and her demeanor, you can understand why a young man would be wooed by her away from his obligation.
Robb literally risked it all for her, and I mean, unfortunately, it didn't work out. But
we thought just for a second, nasty old Walder Frey talking about, okay, well, I would break 1,000 oaths to get in that. You think, well, he is a nasty man. Maybe he's right. No, he wasn't. But Talissa, I liked seeing those little interactions with the Stark boys before they were murdered.
Oh God, yeah.
She also tries to help poor Robb. Damn it, Leo! Stop the madness, Leo.
Okay. Hot pie.
So then we see, obviously, Talissa acknowledges that she's pregnant in our double booty shot. We get her booty and his booty. The double booty.
The double
and then we get one of the most crazy deaths I think that has ever been put to television, in the fact that Talissa, pregnant, gets stabbed in her stomach over and over again. And we also see the Robb coming up on her, putting his hand on that stomach. Yeah, it's traumatizing to say the least. Talissa, a character that we've only enjoyed somewhat, just gets this crazy moment. So yeah, any thoughts on poor Talissa?
I mean, as we describe it more and more, it definitely makes it more clear just how devastating that death was. Just to see, and just the shock and awe of the murders at the Red Wedding. I mean, what an episode! I mean, I can understand why it was, ridiculous and infamous, I guess you could say. I don't know. Poor Talisa. All of them really. I mean, they all got terrible deaths. All of them. But
Yes.
it's like that was like, I guess that was the start of the shocking death.
Yes.
Just
That started the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm still just messed up thinking about it some more.
Yeah. Well, then we move on to a character who I think we both agree has improved quite a bit. She actually was in like the 40s, the mid 40s on our first season reactions.
Oh, really?
We got a lot of flack over our thoughts on her early on, but here she is.
Right. No, I know you're talking about now.
Yeah, we're up to number 19 with Sansa Stark, breaking the top 20 for the first time.
Yeah, people can leave me alone now.
So season 3, I think we talk about it quite a bit as we go throughout the reactions. Sansa finally has some character.
Exactly.
That's a big thing for Sansa. She's with Shae, and Shae starts rubbing off on her a little bit. She gets a little bit sassier, and she actually gets to be happy for little spurts of time.
Every now and then.
It doesn't last. She still has a lot of trauma in season 3. They continue to just like be horrible to her. She ends on a horrible note. She ends crying, learning that her mother and brother were murdered. But it was nice seeing her get excited over Loras and getting to be happy in that moment and getting to see her build that relationship with Marjorie and hope. You're just like hoping and praying that Marjorie's genuine as she's like telling Sansa this, but it seems she was. They were trying to, yes, there was another reason to why Marjorie was, but it was still like all for the better for Sansa for that plan. So and then but then she gets married to Tyrion, is very hesitant towards that, but she makes the best of that situation too. So yeah, how'd you feel about Sansa season 3?
Yeah, I think you summed up my thoughts pretty perfectly when it comes to the evolution of her character, just because I know we got a lot of flack. That's why I had to throw that shade, I guess, to the audience that does listen that was angry about us having her so low early on, because I've said that she needed to develop as a character, and thankfully over the last 2 seasons she's developed a lot as a character, and now she's much more likable. Shae definitely helped her kind of grow a personality, and now that she's much more interesting, I guess, also as a character, because I like the stuff between her and Tyrion, even if they're like, I guess if you want to call it an arranged relationship, because I don't want to call it a relationship because they're clearly not like actually liking each other. But the forced arranged marriage, aspect, at least Tyrion and Sansa are trying to make the best of a bad situation, as opposed to Loras and Cersei, who is just who Loras is trying his best to make it work, and Cersei just wants no part of it. But I'm glad to see Sansa grow as a character. I think that she's still got a lot of room to grow. Probably a lot more trauma to happen with her character, just because it seems like every time there's some sliver of happiness, there's always some sort of bad thing that goes along with it. But I think that she's getting better. Like, that's the thing that I'm really glad about, at least through seasons 1 through 3, is that she is at least progressing as a character, being more interesting, being more entertaining to see unfold as she's getting older and getting more screen time. And the stuff with Marjorie, I hope that also develops more and becomes one of the more enjoyable aspects. Also, maybe even Olenna will rub off on her a little bit as well, because I just love the sassiness of all of these characters, and that's part of what
was our other
rubbed off.
Nervous moment is when Olenna was like making her tell them about Joffrey. You're like, oh, we love the sass woman, but we don't really know you yet. I don't know if she should tell you, but it worked out. Again, it was just helping Marjorie learn how to manipulate Joffrey. So, it was all right.
But yeah, I'm glad that she's gotten better as a character. Like, I knew that going in, probably she was going to get that, but I know that at first glance people were a lot more angry at us about it, because I was like, well, she, the series is like 8 seasons long. It's just 1 season. They've all watched her character unfold over all those years. I'm new to the show. I only have seen her for 1 season. Have mercy.
I know, Emma. I'm presuming Sansa is top 5 for you. If I were to guess from your interactions here, but here we go. Number 18.
Being mine, you never know.
Yeah, and number 18 eventually. We have good old Podrick Payne. Breaking up to number 18.
I mean, he's just slinging that thing around, everywhere. And that's what he's known for.
Yeah, we learned that he's got some skill in the bedroom. The whores
He's
don't take
late.
the money; they give a
He's
refund.
late. That's what I mean. Like Podrick's laying the pipe. Good for him.
Obviously he's super loyal to Tyrion as well after saving his life last season. So he's another one of those characters. I think he falls in line with someone like Hodor and Samwell. They're just kind of like
A very fun supporting
lovable.
character.
Yeah, a lovable character that you just don't want to see anything bad happen to them.
Plus, I just love that moment where you were already referred to it when he goes back to Tyrion with the money, and then him and Bronn all sit down and have wine and just gossip about everything because Tyrion and Bronn are so perplexed to hear all of the details when it comes to Podrick.
Well, then moving on at number 17, we have a character that's been discussed actually quite a bit, both on us and in the chat. At 17, we have Shay.
Yeah.
So
for better or for worse, I guess. Some people didn't like her in the chat.
Shay. Yeah. So Emma, we know, would have put Shay down very low on her list. Yeah. While Leo seems to love him some Shay as well. And every season she's been top 20 for us. Why is that, Tyler?
I think that she has a very entertaining, fiery personality. I think that's part of why she's just a very entertaining character to be around when it comes to Tyrion, or I guess also the fact that she rubs off on Sansa really well. I guess the only thing for me, I guess that could be a deterrent. I don't know the name of the actress that plays Shay, but I feel like sometimes she's not like a very great actress. But like, I mean, I feel bad saying that, but sometimes her line deliveries aren't all that great. But that's just going into like being like, I guess more critical than usual. But I like her as a character. I think that she brings something different to Game of Thrones than a lot of other people do, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's a fun character, even if she's not in it all that much anymore. She kind of just in the background, kind of judging Tyrion for a lot of the season, but for being with Sansa forcibly. So there's that kind of conflict whether she has to be she has to take care of Sansa because that's like her job now. But other people know that because Lord Varys tries to send her away. Because. So like, it could be a conflict later on if she sticks around, and it could, we'll see if that actually does we'll see if that does develop, I guess, if her sticking around has any consequences. Just because everything in the show has consequences, I'm sure that there's going to be bad consequences, but who knows?
Yeah. I think Shay has like two parts here. I think she's more jealous in season 3 than we've seen her ever before. Mm-hmm. And at some point you're like, it's a little bit unreasonable how jealous she is because it's like, come on, you have to understand a little bit the position that Tyrion is in, and she just doesn't yield. She does not yield on her position and what she's talking about. But she also has helped Sansa a lot, and really seems to care for her and want to look out for her and her best interest.
She could have left with all those diamonds, and she just chose to stick around.
And like, Leo says here, she does. She just has a lot of charisma. She does bring a different energy to that part, just particularly of the world. So she spices things up in King's Landing. That's for sure.
I'd say, yeah, the drama. I just don't know where that's going to lead. I just fear for a lot of different characters when it comes to
it's starting to really ramp up. Like, she asked Tyrion for them to both just leave. He has tried to like warn her as well, and about his father. And now we have Varys trying to bribe her out. So the conflict in their relationship definitely seems to be amping up.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't imagine it working out well, just because of all of those obstacles.
So we'll see how that works out for everyone involved. Maybe next season or somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along, we have another one of Tyrion's band of friends, and we have Bronn at number 16. So Bronn actually had a lot quieter of a season, I'd say. He was a lot more prominent in seasons 1 and 2.
He was definitely more in the background this season, weirdly.
Yeah, so we start off strong with Bronn, like he's kind of having fun with Tyrion, and then, like you said, we get that great moment with him, Podrick, and Tyrion.
Amazing.
Just anytime we get like just downtime with Bronn and Tyrion is a great time. It's like always a highlight scene when Tyrion and Bronn are just able to chill.
They're one of my favorite duos, I guess you could say, in the show so far.
Yeah. But then he gives him terrible advice about, well, just marry Sansa and keep Shay off to the side. And you're like, oh, Bronn, you've met Shay. Do you think that's gonna go well?
Yeah, they had some really great scenes together too in the past.
Yes. So yeah, thoughts on Bronn overall?
I mean, I still think he's a very entertaining character. I feel like he still brings a lot of fun charisma, as we know, as we've already alluded to. Anytime he's with Tyrion, it's just hilarious and just entertaining. I don't know what the future holds, just because we didn't get a lot of Bronn in this season, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. He's just a very entertaining character. It's just a shame that he wasn't in it all that much. Hopefully in season 4, that'll be changed.
All right, now moving up to number 15, we have Ygritte, the fiery, kissed by fire, redhead wildling. That
angry woman.
Yes, very, very spicy. She lives up to the kissed by fire name, I'd say.
Yeah, honestly.
But she takes Jon's V card
Good for
season 3.
Yeah, she was really adamant on it too.
She took that V card. she worked to get that work in that cave. She was laying down that groundwork since the moment she met Jon. But she succeeded and got what she wanted.
Yeah.
And taught him some things. He taught her some things that she wasn't expecting.
Yeah, that was some fun banter between them too about all that stuff.
Yeah, we've obviously gotten that phrase, the catchphrase, if you know nothing, Jon Snow from Ygritte.
Yeah, I do love that. I do love that catchphrase. It's just such a funny catchphrase. I didn't think it was going to be a catchphrase, and then they kept saying it. I'm like, okay, this is a phrase now. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yes, but then everything's going well. I love the moment when she's like teasing Jon of like, oh, you want me to just be some like maid? And oh my gosh, Jon killed the spider for me. But then Jon says deuce.
He's like, I'm out of here. Bye.
And leaves her behind, which pisses her off, and she shoots him with 3 arrows, and that's how we end off with Ygritte this season.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a really bad way to break up with someone. Both ways, I guess you could say, for Jon or Ygritte. You know, he rides off without saying anything, and then she finds him and shoots some arrows in him and lets him ride off injured. So quite a relationship, I would say, so far.
So how'd you feel about Ygritte this season?
Yeah, I think that she's another character that has like a really great fiery charisma to her. I like that she kind of in the same vein as Shay and Sansa. I like that Ygritte kind of made Jon Snow open up more as well, kind of make him more also entertaining as a character. Because I know we've said in the past, season 2 with him in the Wall, I really wasn't vibing with him. That's why I felt bad, because I'd always heard so much hype about how great Jon Snow is, and it's like I am going through season 2, like he is just doing this stuff with the Wall. Like I am not vibing with this character yet. Like, where is the hype? I'm waiting for the hype to build for this character. And it's gotten much better in season 3, which we'll get to Jon Snow eventually. But thankfully, Ygritte is kind of like the one kind of like pushing him to be more charismatic and more entertaining as a character. And I also just like that I think they had a very fun relationship, even if it kind of ended, at least in this season, kind of aggressively. I don't know. We'll see. I like Ygritte. I hope that she comes back, just because she was such a good character.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so the way she says Jon Snow is great. Yeah, Jon Snow.
The way
That's what I mean, Jon Snow.
Yes, and again, you know, when they actually have like good romantic chemistry, as we learn after the show, it definitely helps their on-screen chemistry as well.
I mean, you can clearly tell they have great chemistry, and then it makes sense that they end up getting married and having kids in real life. So good for them.
All right. So moving on to number 14. I think this is the first time he's fallen out of the top 10. We have Jorah Mormont at 14 this season. And I think it's...
I get it.
Yeah, I think he took a back seat in the Daenerys storyline. He was
I
much
think
more
so.
prominent in the first 2 seasons, really helping Daenerys.
Well,
And now,
there's
as you said, she keeps popping up and grabbing those Pokemon. Now she has a lot more people around her
well,
that
that's what I
require
was gonna
screen
say.
time.
There's so many more people in her camp now that that are just taking up spots that I feel like it's kind of hard for him to break through amongst everyone because you have Missandei, Dario, Barristan, Grey Worm, and then Sully and all them. There's so many characters in her camp now, which I don't mind because I like all of her characters. But because of all these different characters you have to juggle, I feel like Jorah did kind of take a back seat sometimes, opposed to everyone else.
Yeah, so he gets that moment, I guess, early on, once again, where he and Sir Barristan kind of battle it out about being her advisor.
Poor Jorah, man. Like he was like number one since day one, and then it's just as she collects more people, he just keeps having to fight for more attention. I
Yeah.
guess.
And then he gets pushed back down the ranks of love interest as Dario comes in and knocks him
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, Dario.
Shoot that down.
Dario is number one, it seems, as far as like the love interest he goes. Poor Jorah's at the bottom again.
But he is a faithful advisor to Daenerys, and that was basically his role in season 3. Didn't do anything to make us dislike him, just didn't get as many moments to shine as he did in the first 2.
Now, hopefully, season 4 it'll change, but you never know.
Yeah. All right, so moving along, we have a couple actually kind of villainous type of characters coming up. So here we go. At number 13, we have Tywin Lannister. Oh. So why was Tywin so high on your list, Tyler?
I think that Charles Dance brings like a gravitas to the character that I just can't help but enjoy, even if he is like a very snarky, like evil father figure. But also, I guess it also helps the fact that like he's throwing shade at all of these people that I'm not like a huge fan of. So I guess that does help. Throwing a lot of shade definitely gets you a long way in the show. I feel it makes you much more of an entertaining character, whether you're good or bad. But I thought that he had a lot of really entertaining moments, or a lot of really good moments when it comes to the conversations he's had. It's a shame, I guess, that he was behind killing Robb Stark and all of them, and the methods that he went with to do it. But even though he's so terrible, like sometimes he's just too damn entertaining that I have to put him at least in the top 15 or so.
Tywin is, for me, I know I did a ranking of this, I think, when we were leading up to season 8. Tywin is the definition of a character that I just love to hate. Like,
exactly. That's
he's such a good character, and he's so entertaining when he is on screen, and he steals the show every time, but you still hate him because he's still terrible. So you get like these great moments, and then you get him just horrible to Tyrion. Like his scenes with Tyrion this season are savage to the point where you're just like, oh my god,
where he's talking
horrible.
About throwing him in the ocean, stuff like that. Like some of the stuff he does say to Tyrion is just terrible.
Yeah, like, and we open the season when Tyrion's just asking for a little recognition for what he did, and Tywin is just savage. And then we end the season with him just ripping Tyrion apart, telling him about how he wished he could just throw him out into the sea when he was born. And you're like, oof.
I did love in that same section before that when he was basically just railing Joffrey with all the shade when it comes to king. Any king has to say I'll mess up the king. Yeah. Isn't really king, and then he sends the king to bed without dinner. And it's like,
Or earlier in the season, we get that great moment where he walks up on Joffrey while Joffrey's sitting in the throne and tells him, "You are being counseled right now."
Just straight up walked up to him with no hesitation.
Towers over him.
Yeah, that was a power move. You didn't have to. He deliberately walked up there to get the tower over him.
Every time he owns Joffrey, it just makes my day. And then every time he's terrible to Tyrion, I'm just like, oh.
It's a give and take. I have to. It's
give and take with him. But he definitely has some of the best lines. One of the smartest characters on the show. I wish he didn't get Robb Stark killed.
Yeah, he may have been higher.
I really wish
He may have been higher if that Robb Stark stuff didn't happen.
All right. Well, at number 12, we have another character who once was seen much more as a villain, but I think maybe slowly is gaining favor with us at least. We have the Hound. So the Hound didn't first half of the season we actually didn't see him. It wasn't until he got captured by the Brotherhood without banners.
Yeah, I still don't get that. Like that's like the thing that always perplexes me. Like, how do you capture this man?
Yes, but pretty much since then, I think he's been a pretty great character since he returned on his little adventure with Arya. So,
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the Hound this season?
I think that he's becoming a much better character because he was kind of like a terrible, like scoundrel kind of villainous character that is just number one. So there, that's pretty cool. But I think he's just such a much better character now. Now that he's kind of pieced out and said screw Joffrey and everyone else, I'm just gonna go out on my own and just trying to take Sansa with him. So at least he was trying to do a good thing in that regard, trying to get Sansa out of there after he saved her not that long beforehand, from being, I guess, raped and murdered or both. You never know. I just think he's much more entertaining now. He's become more of a personality. I've always loved his battles. I'm always shocked at just how huge he is and how formidable he is in battle. And I also just like his relationship with Arya, at least to this point, just because it's the evolution of it, I think, is what makes it so great. Because like it started out with Arya wanting him to just get murdered in that fight, and now they're kind of like trying to make it work, if you will, as he's kind of taking her
Arya
under the
plotted to kill
wing.
him while he was sleeping, but he busted her.
Yeah, with the rock. Like if you're gonna do this, like you better finish it.
You got one shot at it, girl. You got one shot.
Yeah, I think that's going forward. That's going to be a duo that I'm gonna really like because I like Arya, I like the Hound, and I think he's becoming a better character over time, especially now that he's out of that role in King's Landing. Especially because we see as the evolution of that story's going on, especially now that he can't go and sell Arya back to Catelyn and all them since they're dead. So they kind of have to do their own thing off in the world, which I don't know what's going to happen with that yet. I guess we'll wait and see. But I like them as a duo. That's like the thing I'm hoping is going to be really entertaining going forward. And hopefully the Hound will train Arya to become like a much more formidable foe, a much more formidable force, if you will. Especially as, you knew there's inklings of that even when we see it in the last episode when Arya just straight up murders those people that were assisting with Rob's murder.
Yeah. All right. So now
that's good to know.
We're kicking things off in the top 10 with a tie. So tied at number 10 and 11. First up, we have Margaery Tyrell.
Yeah.
All right. So Margaery, time for a spot in the top 10. What did you love so much about Margaery this season, Tyler?
Well, I think that she's just a really great character all around. I mean, it's weird because like I just like the Tyrells a lot. I don't know if a lot of people like the Tyrells. I don't know. I'm not like, I'm new to the Game of Thrones fandom, if you will. So I don't know if like I'm supposed to like the Tyrells as much as I do. I just think they're all very, very lovable, very interesting, entertaining, and charming characters. All of them, all across the board. And I think she just brings something to King's Landing that you don't see with any of the Lannisters, if you will, because the Lannisters are all just very cold, calculated. My crush in the show. Oh, that also helps. That also helps.
Natalie Dormer.
That also helps. Natalie Dormer is a very attractive woman, so I guess that could be a positive, if you will. But I just think they're all very interesting characters. I think they're all very. It's hard to say, I guess. I think that they all bring something to the table that I really enjoy, and I'm hoping that she continues to be like this really great character as she's, I guess going to be married to Joffrey. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we start off the season with her just like being a good person and talking to these little children about their fathers who died in war. And you do always get that like curiosity with Margaery. Like I said, with her and Sansa, with her and those kids, even a little bit, you're always like, I don't know how much of this is genuine or how much of this is her playing the game. But at the end of the day, she's still doing good. So even if it is just her trying to, you know, gain favor and play the game, she's still doing good things to get there. She's not being a horrible person to get there. She's making positive changes.
Yeah, she has to put up with Joffrey, which that alone is commendable, I feel.
And so she's great. I think she's really smart as well. We see that pretty quick on. She's very charming, and I love her little interactions with Sansa this season, whether it's telling her about Tyrion having lots of experience, and Sansa just asking if her mother taught her that, and she's like, oh yeah, sweet child.
Nice.
It's like, oh, Marjorie. But I think she is just a really interesting character for sure. And Leo, well, he's not on this ranking because I don't think we saw him at all in season 3. So
I mean, I think the last we saw, he ran away after that arrow. He got arrowed in the battle last season, and like Cersei like pushed him away,
bodied him,
and then he kind of just disappeared. I don't think he showed up anywhere. I mean,
Cersei pissed him off and bodied him.
Nothing I can think of. I mean, I'm trying to think of it. I don't remember him ever showing up.
He wasn't in season 3 for sure.
Okay, well, I'm not crazy then.
All right, at a tie with Marjorie for number 10. We have Jon Snow. So he did break our top 10.
Barely.
Just barely. But what was the difference this season that got Jon a top 10 spot, Tyler?
I think he opened up and actually had like more of a personality in season 3. I mean, as I said already before, a lot of the same things that kind of apply to what I said about Ygritte, and that Ygritte kind of opened him up a little bit more, which I appreciated because Jon Snow had been kind of like a closed off character more so in the first 2 seasons, and I'm glad to see him kind of grow into a character that I actually really do end up enjoying. Yeah, I'm glad that Leo is glad that we have Jon Snow so high as well. But I'm liking the evolution of his character. I mean, he has a lot of heart, and I think that's a very commendable thing in this show, even if it sometimes is your downfall, having too much heart in the show. I don't know. I mean, I just think he's becoming a much better character, and I'm starting to kind of see the hype for Jon Snow. We're not there yet. We're on the right path as he's finally made it into the top 10. We'll see if that continues into later seasons.
Yeah, Jon this season certainly has a little bit more personality. We get to see him be happy. He's not just brooding all season long.
Well, I know you like his brooding, though.
I do love broody Jon Snow, but it is nice to see him like happy with Ygritte and coming into his own as a person, and then still holding true to who he is. Though that does get him in trouble, as we saw at the end of the season.
Yeah.
With Ygritte. So yeah, he has fun moments. He has a lot of really funny banter with Ygritte all season long. And I think their storyline is cute, so it really helps.
It is. I also love that our photo with Kit Harington is right behind you.
I know. I was like, it is in all of our reactions, but it's much easier to see when I'm over here in my little corner.
Yeah, it's a great photo. Like you were pulling him away from me in it. It was real great. I mean, if you see the photo up close, you can see how much further away he is from me compared to Larry.
You can see the blue here, the gap, and there's nothing here. So
I had no say in the matter. It was Larry was too hyped, and that was at a time where I wasn't a Game of Thrones fan. I met him because of the Eternals coming out, and then it didn't come out. So
well, sometime hopefully.
Maybe. I mean, it apparently exists. We'll see. Trailer eventually.
All right, so we have an interesting 3-way tie for number 7, 8, and 9. Starting off with Sir Davos Seaworth, who returned. Yay, he didn't die in the battle for Blackwater.
I forgot that was his last name.
Oh, Seaworth.
Because yes. I've just always been calling him Sir Davos.
The Onion Knight, Sir Davos. So why was Davos the top 10 character in season 3, Tyler?
I think he's another one of those characters that like you can't help but like. He's just such a fun, charismatic character, and he's also lovable. You know, you see the scenes where he's learning how to read, he's a very good character in the sense that he obviously has a heart, which is also a very rare thing, it seems like, in this show. You know, as he, lets Gendry go free instead of being burnt to death by Stannis. I'm glad that Ryan loves Davos as well. But yeah, I think he's a very great character. I'm excited to see him more in the future, especially since, like, I guess he has a part to play. Thankfully, he wasn't murdered. Lady Melisandre saved the day in that sense. But I just think he has a lot of heart behind him, and he's just like, he's such a lovable character in a different way than some of the other lovable characters. I just like him. I say it's hard to just say even more than
Yeah.
I just really like him as a character.
Well, I think it really helps for Sir Davos because he's basically the moral compass of Stannis' team. Like
He's
that
trying to be
team,
anyway.
yeah, is just shrouded in like this weird darkness all the time that we get to see him obviously with Shireen, which is like this lovely light, but he at least is still trying to advise Stannis to do the right thing and to not just burn people willy-nilly like he is.
He was ready. He was ready. He was ready to just straight up murder Lady Melisandre. And that's how he
Well,
got
yes,
through.
that's what got him thrown in jail.
In the dungeon.
He was ready to kill her right then and there.
Yeah, I think Davos had some really some of my favorite comedic moments, like intentional comedic moments, like when I know we talked about it, where Stannis was shocked that he could read. That was a great one.
And I love that line where he tells Gendry not to fall off the boat.
Yeah, great advice.
Swim.
Great advice.
Yeah, Davos is just great. He's funny. He's fun. He's a great character. All right. Next up in our tie, we have Catelyn Stark. So I'll admit, I actually have Catelyn pretty high, like top 5 on my own personal list.
Yeah,
and that's
she wasn't
what
as high
her.
on mine. She wasn't in my top 10.
Oh, yeah. So our even out came to in the top 10.
I think I had her at 13. So it wasn't like too crazy outside of the top 10, but like it wasn't in my top 10.
Yeah, and I had her in my top 5. I think the reason I liked Catelyn so much in season 3 is I think she had a lot of interesting inner conflict this season, whether it be with her father's death and her kind of remorse there. We see that great scene where she talks about, Jon Snow to Talisa. And then we see her talking about the 2 boys who she thinks are dead in Rickon and Bran, and how they'll never get to see her again. So I think, it's kind of a sad season, obviously, especially where we end up with her.
Yeah, she did.
But I think, and we learn that, she was right about a lot of things. Yes, she definitely screwed up when it came to Jaime.
I think that's part of why I had her a little bit lower. I'm still a little bit angry about that. Like why? Like that ruined everything.
And it ruined like her credibility in Rob's eyes. So you understand why Rob wasn't as trusting of her. But it turned out that if he had listened to her a little bit more, then things maybe would have turned out differently. We don't know. But how did you feel about Catelyn throughout season 3 before her unfortunate death in episode 9?
Yeah, I kind of feel the exact same way about a lot of her storylines and the way that she went about it. I mean, she ended up being correct about, I think, almost everything, except for, I guess, releasing Jaime being a good idea. Other than that, I think everything else that she had predicted, with Theon and Walder Frey and the stuff, all that stuff, she ended up actually being correct. But, unfortunately, just because it led to everyone dying. So I guess that's a shame. I guess I would have liked. I mean, it's just a shame because I would have liked to seen her. I guess maybe have one more moment with Jon Snow, and that just because they seemed to, she didn't really like Jon Snow, so I would have liked to have maybe seen at least some sort of. Well, she's showing remorse for how terrible she treated him, so I guess that would have been nice to see. But that and the stuff with Jorah, his dad, I guess there's just sad reunions that I'm just never going to expect reunions with characters as long as they're related by parents.
Yeah,
I don't know. But she was really great. I forget the actress's name, but I think that I remember you brought it up. Like, it's really surprising that she didn't really get any sort of like awards recognition for this show, just because I think she's really excellent in it. It's just the only thing that I really didn't like about it. It was like, I just can't believe that she let Jaime go. Like, after all that.
Yeah. Well, then our last tie for number 7. The other Stark that got slain in the Red Wedding. We have Robb Stark tied for number 7. So, what do you think about Robb in his final season on the show, Tyler?
I like Robb a lot. I mean, he's a very young, hungry, noble kind of character. I mean, he's very likable. He's charming. He has all of the traits that you want in a leader, if you will. Just some of his ideas, unfortunately, led to his downfall. Some of them are a little bit more selfish than others. Like he could have very easily just went with the Walder Frey thing, and he would have lived. So it's just frustrating. Some of the things he did when it comes to being the leader of these people ended up causing his death and the death of his entire camp, I guess, if you will, except for a couple people. So it's a shame. I mean, I really liked him and Talisa. Him and Catelyn. I mean, they were. I mean, they did their best, I guess. He still tried his best to keep her around, even though he kind of felt betrayed because he let Jaime Lannister go. It's just a shame because he was such a good leader. It's just like some things along the way ended up being his downfall. That and also killing Rickard Carstark.
Yeah, and that one, Talisa and Catelyn both were like, "Don't do it. Just keep them hostage."
That's why it's frustrating because like if he had just done a couple things differently, if he had just listened more.
Married, like he didn't have to marry Talisa at that moment.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't have waited a little bit. Like he just did it so fast. You're like, no, like don't marry her yet. Just wait a minute before you take a next step. Still have your little relationship. Walder Frey won't know about that, but
it could have been like a Tyrion Shay Sansa situation, maybe.
Yeah, and then the Carstark thing. You're like, no, don't do it.
He just kept making really big mistakes, unfortunately.
Keep him hostage so that the Carstarks don't betray you. And it's like, okay. Sometimes, much like his father, sometimes the like honorable thing was not the right thing. And that was one of those situations where he was like, no, he has to die. He just killed these two kids in cold blood. And you're like, I know that's like the right thing, but right now, no. But I'll miss Rob, obviously. The Starks went through it this season with their family.
Richard Madden gets to be in Eternals, at least with Jon Snow, Kit Harington.
Yeah. Oof. All right. Well, moving along to number 5/6, we have another tie, starting off with probably season 3's Most Improved award, giving it to Jaime Lannister.
Oh man.
Who in season 1 was down there with his sister Cersei and Joffrey, right at the bottom of the list.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, he wasn't the greatest character at that point in time.
And now we have him in the top 10. So if I'm ranking just based on season 3, Jaime is definitely near the top of my list. Because if I take it isolated, I think he has a great season. And then when you couple it with his horrible acts that he does in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we got the time to know him and know why he did what he did when it came to getting that Kingslayer name. Obviously, everything with Brienne, he like saves her twice, and one of those times I don't know if he would have saved her if he knew it would get his hand cut off, but
hindsight on that one would have been nice.
Yeah, but he does save her there, and then he comes back and risks his own life to save her from the bear later in the season. So how did you feel about Jaime and his improvement this season?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you were saying when it comes to his improvement and just getting to know him much more as a character on like a personal level in season 3. It was nice to see him open up just because he had been such like a terrible person in the first 2 seasons with the stuff he has done, the stuff that we've heard he's done. And I think Brienne really helped him kind of open up and also losing his hand. So as Ryan has alluded to.
Yes.
Losing his hand, I would say, definitely humbled him a bit, if you will. And then the events that happened afterwards, him being drugged through the mud and having to be drink urine, and he really went through it this season. So it was interesting to see the evolution of his character, at least at this point, how he went from like this noble Kingslayer character that everyone like was revered or was afraid of, and then like it was to the point where he came back at the end of the season and nobody knew who the hell he was because he looked like trash. So I liked his storyline a lot with Brienne. That was probably one of my favorites of the whole season, actually.
Yeah, and I think that's a great acting moment for Nikolai. Moment of the Kingslayer discussion with Brienne. So
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
surprising. That was the moment, I guess you could say, the turn where I actually started to like kind of like Jaime Lannister.
All right, and then we get to tied for number 5 with Jamie. We have Arya Stark, still in that top 5, chilling there. So
Yeah,
Arya this season on her little mission, first with Gendry and Hot Pie, gets captured by the Brotherhood, and then gets mad when they sell Gendry and is like, you know what, peace out. I don't like
I'm
y'all.
out of
I'm out
here.
of here.
Go
And
with the
then
Hound.
gets snatched up by the Hound in the process. Unfortunately, ends the season seeing her brother's body with his direwolf Grey Wind's head
Head on top of him.
sewed on top of it. And then she kills the people who did that and talked about doing it. So
Good for her.
she said, you know what? I'm sick of this crap. I'm gonna start killing people.
Understandable.
So how'd you feel about Arya in season 5? Or season, sorry, 3 at
Oh,
number 5?
I know what you meant. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I thought this season. I mean, I've always liked Arya. I think that she's had some really great development over these first 3 seasons. At this point, I mean, it's still early on in her development, just because like she's just now kind of going on this journey with the Hound. I guess I kind of like that because as I've said already before, when we talked about the Hound, I really liked their dynamic so far. They were very entertaining. They have a really great dynamic that I think is going to be one of the best things going forward. At least I hope so, anyway. But I like the evolution of her in this season. Now she's becoming more confident. You know, she's just straight up having no problem murdering people. You know, just be on the sly. And I just think that she's going to continue to be a really entertaining character with a lot of feistiness. She clearly is just doing her own thing, and I kind of commend her for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, no more ties. That was our final tie. Thank goodness.
Oh man.
All right. So I have to say, starting with Arya, we definitely have a female heavy top 5 here. Next up,
Women.
we have Miss Brienne of Tarth at number 4. Brienne
Captain
of Tarth is like a full foot almost taller than me in that picture.
I love that photo op. I love that. That's my of your photo ops. I think that's still my favorite one.
But Brienne this season has that great journey with Jamie. I think that does a lot for both of their characters. I think we already loved Brienne at this point, though. I mean, she's a badass. She's awesome. But this season, I think she gets to really understand a more complex side to Jamie, and I think it actually makes her a softer, more understanding person, because before she was a little bit more rigid. She was also on that like honor at all costs type of person.
Yeah, she just has really bad luck picking people to side with, because like she was with she's like, I'm Team Renly, dies. I'm Team Catelyn, dies. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so here she is. Catelyn's gone now, so she doesn't serve anyone yet again. But she did hold up on her end, and Jamie did get back to King's Landing. Again, we'll see how that fares for Sansa, if that ends up helping Sansa or makes absolutely no difference.
I don't know. That whole deal was confusing anyway, just because the terms were never like concrete. Just because it was like, we're going to give you Arya and Sansa, and Arya is nowhere to be found around here.
Yeah. So she fights a bear this season. And
that was amazing and shocking and
with
surprising.
A wooden sword, mind you. She's thrown in there with a wooden sword. She
wasn't doing
Jamie.
Too bad.
Yeah, she did all right. She defeats Jamie pretty easily, though he is a little bit weary on the road. And yeah, so how'd you feel about Brienne this season?
Yeah, I think you covered everything how I felt about her. I thought that she was a great addition. Brienne. I'm loving these other pronunciations of Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne I'm like, what is going on in here?
But yeah, I definitely agree with everything that you said about the character. That's part of why I have her so high. So I'm glad that we agreed on that. Fighting a bear was also insane. That was very cool. And I mean, she's been such a badass this entire time, taking on anyone in her path. She's like, all right, I guess a bear is next. So I don't know what's the next step after this. I'm excited to see where her character goes now that she's kind of delivered Jaime Lannister to, back to King's Landing. I just don't know where her character's going to go next, just because, who do you report to now? I mean,
how Cersei reacts to her.
I don't know if Cersei and Brienne want to go at it. I mean, for Cersei's sake, I don't know if
Cersei wants to go down that road.
I don't know if she wants the smoke, because I've seen what Brienne has done to everyone that's tried to give her the smoke, and it doesn't end well for all of them. But I do love Brienne a lot. I think she's a great character, and I mean, as you said, she's a badass, and I'm excited to see more of her in the future. Hopefully, she can stick around at least for as long as possible, whether it be in the show or in the top 10, top 5. Maybe she'll get higher, maybe she'll get lower. As long as she sticks around, I'm excited.
Well, coming in and breaking into our top 3, this is far and away the highest ranked new character of season 3.
I know who it is.
We have the matriarch of House Tyrell, the Lady Olenna of House Tyrell. R.I.P. Diana Rigg. We love you.
Yeah.
And we love you for giving us this character. But the spicy older woman from House Tyrell that we were introduced to this season, you loved her right off the bat, Tyler. Tell us
How could I not?
Why Lady Olenna was in the top 3.
I mean, how can you not love a sassy older woman who won't take any shit from anyone, no matter who they are? Tywin. She was handing out roasts to everyone. Like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who she was. Who they were. Male, female, king, queen. Anybody. She's just gonna keep throwing shade at you, and that's all you can. You're gonna have to take it. Whether she's arguing with Tywin or Lord Varys, like, she was just delivering some of the most entertaining insults of the whole season and some of the best arguments in the whole season. So I love the character so far. Like, that's why I was like, I need more of her, because she's not in it enough, in my opinion.
Just roasting her own grandchildren.
As I mean, she just goes ham on everyone.
Her own son.
She's talking about Loras. She knew everything he's up to.
Yes, this was the moment that Tyler 100% fell in love with her.
Yeah.
She
was angry. She was angry. Like, I want that cheese.
I particularly always have loved the line when Varys comes in and she says, "Oh, do please flatter away. It's been so long." And then she follows it up with, "What happens when the non-existent bumps against the decrepit?" So at least she's a self-aware roasting queen. I just love her so much.
How can you not love her? She's amazing.
Yeah, every scene she's in this season is pretty much amazing. That intro with the cheese and her talking to Sansa's great. Her going back and forth with Tyrion,
amazing,
saying, about the wedding, calling him just like a browbeaten secretary, bookkeep. Her going back and forth with Varys when he comes into town, and of course to go back and forth with Tywin right off the bat. And she definitely got the good of him the first half. The second half, he came back, but then she ends it by snapping his pen and throwing it down.
Gotta get the last word in somehow.
And that's the thing. These people, she always knows what the game is, too. Like, he starts trying to get her on the homosexuality, and she calls him a sword swallower. But then she knows how to turn it around right then. She's like, yeah, we may accept that, but brothers and sisters, oh my.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah. It's a good comeback. I clap back, if you will.
And it's always impressive when you look at who she's up against too. Like the smartest people in the whole show right now, and she went toe to toe with every single one of them. Like Lord Varys, Tyrion, Tywin.
Don't matter.
She did have a little bit with Cersei, but they were nice to each other more or less. But Lady Olenna, we love you, girl.
Yes, I mean MVP, one of the MVPs. Yes.
All right. So our top 2, I have to say, has been our same top 2 all 3 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's really going to change, honestly. I'm kind of, it's kind of concerning.
They have held the top 2 right at the top from this. So
I agree with Ryan.
Kicking off, though, we have a change, an actual switch up at the top. So that means our number 2 for the first time is Tyrion Lannister in season 3.
Well,
So Tyrion is back at the top 2, not quite number 1, but he didn't quite do as much this season, I think, is the ultimate reason he slipped out of that top spot.
I guess.
He didn't have the scheming he had in season, 3 or 2, and season 1 he was just such to the light. But season 3, we still get some great moments with Tyrion, particularly every time he talks to Cersei. That's like the new highlights for me with Tyrion. Whenever he has sit down conversations with Cersei.
Always
just
the war of
them
words.
two going back at each other. Poor Tyrion, though, you could definitely tell in season 3 he got kind of knocked down a peg after nobody recognized him with what he did at the Battle of Blackwater.
Tywin came back.
And then Tywin coming back and stealing his job, or taking his job back, I guess. And then Tywin just roasting him every chance he gets.
Literally.
So Tyrion, our smart little friend, he got roasted quite a bit in season 3.
That's
Poor guy. But and then you see, oh God, he's around Joffrey all the time now, so he has to toe that line of roasting Joffrey, but not getting killed, not getting himself killed.
He's still trying though. He's still out there just roasting him, and talking, warning Joffrey about kings dropping around him.
Yeah.
And monsters.
So how'd you feel about Tyrion season 3?
Yeah, I still thought. I mean, he was still my number 1. So let's get there. I make sure to let everyone know he was still number 1 for me. I'm actually wearing my Tyrion shirt. You can't see it as much because there's text above it the whole time, so you couldn't tell. But yeah, I still think he's my favorite character. Not to say that the one who is number 1 now isn't a great character. He did get knocked down a little bit, but that didn't deter me from still making him my number 1, because I still think
that didn't deter me.
I still think the good still outweighs those, being brought down a bit. So I still love Tyrion. He's still my number 1, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for him, because I think he continues to just be better and better each season almost.
All right, and then our new number 1 for season 3, we have Daenerys Targaryen taking over that top spot. But again, these have been our top 2 picks for all 3 seasons so far. So
yeah,
it's not that big of a surprise. So Daenerys obviously was back to my number 1. I think I put her at number 2 last season because I thought Tyrion had the better season, but she's back to number 1 for me in season 3. I think this might be Daenerys's best season of the show
so far, at least.
If not, it certainly stays up there throughout the 8 seasons. But I mean, this was her season to just rock and roll. This was Daenerys' seasons of taking W after W in season 3.
She's really gaining a lot of power, it seems like, at this point.
Yeah, so she comes through, she frays 2 cities, the slaves of those cities, and in the process has some of the most badass moments we've seen to the show this far, particularly, that reveal to Master Cry's knees before she lights them up. And then we see her interactions with the slave masters of that next city, in which, once again, they think they're going to be real cute with her until she says, don't try it.
Nope.
No, either you free your slaves or I kill you. How about that instead?
Seems like a great offer, I guess.
And this gold was a gift, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that too while you leave.
And you can try and take it back, but I have 3 dragons.
Yes, my dragons made no promises. So threaten their mom if you will.
Yeah, good luck, right?
And then obviously with the second sons, one of the, I have to admit, it's like one of my favorite moments of our season 3 reactions, just because it's so random.
This one again.
It's not really a good Daenerys moment. I mean, she's good in the scene because she's just like, sir, please. But the freaking leader of the second son saying, "Let me see your cunt," and Tyler died. Like, his reaction was so funny.
Because it
But
was like, what is this? What is this dialogue? How do you have this scene going on the way it did and just like throw that out there? Like I was like, okay, I mean, why? Damn.
But as we said, she just is collecting everyone. Her army has already grown exponentially between these 3 dragons who are getting quite large and are able to do damage, as we saw. She has the Unsullied, she has the Second Sons, she has Sir Barristan, as well as Missandei. She is trying to also empower people this season, which I think is the heart of her season. Is she's gaining all these W's and killing it, but she also is empowering Grey Worm and the Unsullied army, tells them they can run away and be free if they want, and then also tells them to name themselves whatever they want. And then we get that obvious end to season 3 of her telling the people of that city, "Hey, I can't give you your freedom. Yes, I've made it possible for you to be free. I've killed all the slave owners."
Yeah, you have no choice but to be free.
Now it's your chance. Take your freedom. It's not mine, so I can't give it to you. And we end the season on that scene of her with all the slaves. So we talked about it in our episode 10 too. I know some people think, like with Daenerys, that she obviously has a chosen one type of arc going, but it's hard not to like a character that the show literally uses as a serotonin boost. So, you go through these traumas, and then they always use Daenerys and her dragons as like okay, we got to give you something good. We got to give you something to cheer after we just killed your favorite characters. And so, that is why season 3, Daenerys is our number 1. I have a feeling, though, we might have a comeback in season 4 when it comes to Tyrion at that number 1 spot, but we will see.
I don't know. I think people maybe get angry if we just keep putting Daenerys and Tyrion at the top.
I mean, it's hard when they just have the best moments. I mean, they're the best. They're the best.
I gotta throw it out, throw out like a curveball next season.
Just random.
Like hot pie number 1.
He wasn't here, but we know he was great. Hot pie.
He was in my heart. That's what counts.
I will say, the Lady of Thorns, she almost disrupted our top 3, or top 2, but she wasn't able to quite get there with Olenna. But it's okay. Close. Season 4 is the doozy, so especially when it comes to Tyrion. So this should be a fun time next season. So that was it. That was our ranking of 62 characters from season 3 of Game of Thrones.
I hope there's less in season 4, but I feel like there won't be.
So these were all the people. I will say, once again, we killed off 9 of them, and several of them went off on a side little adventure or got left behind. So we'll see if they return, or maybe they don't, and we get a break and get back into the 50s at least.
I don't know, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. But that was our ranking of all the characters. Thank you to everybody who joined, to Leo, Ryan, Emma, Hannah, everybody who stopped in and talked with us. I really appreciate it. Tyler, do you want to let them know where they can find you?
Yeah, if you search up my name on here, you'll find my YouTube channel where I do all of this, reviews and all that stuff on there. But you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Tyler Calvert.
And of course, if you liked this video, hit that like button down below, whether you're watching live or you're watching on replay, and subscribe to the channel so you can watch all of our live reactions, and you get to see Tyler's reaction to all the action in season 4.
Apparently Ryan's excited for me to see a new character in season 4, so that should be fun. Yeah. Whoever this mysterious character is.
Yeah, very quickly you'll see Geekly Goods here. His fresh little face is going to be coming on to a reaction early in season 4. So you'll see him as well. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those reactions, and hit that like button. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.